Chapter 30-31. What? You've obtained the replica of the Eternal Divine Tower. Looking at the small tower in Knight Sorrow's hand and the empty space in the distance, Mutianai came to a realization. After thinking it through, his pupils shrank and he said in disbelief, "This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How can you have the strength to obtain it? Nothing is impossible. The replica of the Eternal Divine Tower in my hand is at the level of an earthly sovereign. Are you prepared to fight?" Knight Sorrow looked at Mutianai and said slowly. Mutianai's body was emitting a strong fighting spirit. After becoming a sovereign, he no longer hid anything. He looked like he was ready to kill everyone. Knight Sorrow, if you still have some courage, don't use external forces and let's have a fair fight. Relying on an earthly sovereign artifact to crush your opponent is not your own ability. That's too shameful. Mutianai snorted after thinking for a while. Although he had just become a supreme being and had displayed great strength, it was impossible for him to suppress an earthly supreme being artifact. Haha. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow laughed and said, "I've already given you a chance to become a sovereign. This is already a great courage. Moreover, to do a good job, one must first sharpen his tools. To be able to make an earthly sovereign artifact recognize me as its master is also my ability. What's so shameful about that?" For a moment, Mutianai was speechless. At this time, Little Seven sent a voice transmission to Knight Sorrow. "Knight Sorrow. The person in front of you is very special. His soul should be about the same age as Yen Hengshi. They should be from the same era. His combat strength is far superior to those of the same level. Can you tell if he's from the Eternal Sovereign Realm?" Knight Sorrow immediately asked after hearing Little Seven's words. "Obviously not. He should be from the fog area. There's a high probability that he's an evil person." Little Seven glanced at Mutianai and immediately made his judgment. "Oh. Why is there a high chance that he's an evil person?" Knight Sorrow asked in confusion. "The fog in the fog area is very poisonous. After cultivating for a long time, one would naturally lose their conscience and become someone who only knew how to kill. The level of evil is much more terrifying than you can imagine. Let's put it this way, if even 1% of the creatures in the fog come out, your eternal supreme realm will be slaughtered directly." Little Seven said with certainty. "What? Is the foggy area really that terrifying?" Knight Sorrow was confused when he heard Little Seven's words. Based on Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign's words, one could tell that the Supreme Longevity Earthly Sovereign had found a way to become an Earthly Sovereign in the fog region. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign had also made some achievements there. He could tell that Supreme Longevity was not an evil person, but he could not be sure about Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign. Hence, he immediately ordered, "Little Seven, help me check on Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign and see if his aura in the fog area is dense." After saying that, Knight Sorrow took out Evil Sword. Little Seven checked it and said, "It's far from it. If I'm not wrong, this sword has only entered the foggy area once. It left when it was less than 100 meters in. There's not much of the aura of the fog on it." Then I'm relieved," Knight Sorrow said. Then, he realized something. He immediately asked, "You said that you were grateful to Yen Heng for bringing you out of the fog area. Then, are the other parts of the Eternal Divine Tower scattered in the fog area? If I'm not wrong, most of them are in there. They should have been completely corrupted by the fog. Hence, it's not easy to reconstruct the Eternal Divine Tower." Little Seven sighed like a human. "We'll talk about this later." Knight Sorrow had a lot of things to sort out in his mind. However, Mutianai was still in front of him. Naturally, he would not let his imagination run wild. Instead, he looked at Mutianai and said, "Who are you? Or should I say, what are you?" Did the replica of the Eternal Divine Tower say something to you?" Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Mutianai was stunned for a moment. Then, he said, "That's right. I came from the fog area. However, you don't have the right to know what I am." "Is that so?" Since I don't have the right to know, I'll find out from your memories after I kill you. Night Sorrow originally wanted to let Mutianai go. However, now that he had confirmed that he was a life form from the fog area, he naturally would not let him go and let him start a massacre in the eternal divine world. After saying that, he directly used the 33 Heavens battle secret technique. Holding the evolved golden heavenly halberd in his hand, he directly attacked Mutianai. Eternal Life Amplification Spear. This move was as powerful as ever. However, Mutianai said disdainfully, "If I was at my peak strength, I would have been able to kill you. A single strand of hair could kill you. Even the replica of the Eternal Divine Tower in your hands is nothing." Mutianai did not know that Little Seven was a part of the Eternal Divine Tower. With a roar, he completely unleashed the fog aura on his body. For a moment, the surrounding world was completely shrouded in fog. Night Sorrow's Eternal Life Amplification Spear, which had always worked, did not paralyze Mutianai. So this is the fog aura? It's indeed a crazy killing aura. Night Sorrow, who had wrapped himself in the power of virtue, found that the power of virtue had a very good resistance against the fog aura. He used his divine soul to investigate and found that the fog aura was indeed bloodthirsty and evil, making him feel very uncomfortable. What do you know? This is the purest source of power. Mutianai roared and controlled the fog aura to attack Night Sorrow again. He felt that as long as he could quickly control Night Sorrow, it would be equivalent to controlling Night Sorrow. Even if Night Sorrow had an earthly sovereign divine weapon, he would not be a threat to him. You're thinking too much. You want to control me? Impossible. Night Sorrow, who was using the power of virtue to resist the fog aura, roared and ordered, "Little Seven, do it. Show me your strength. Don't worry. Although he used to be powerful, he's not a threat now." Facing Mutianai, who had just become an earthly sovereign, Little Seven smiled. Like a heavy sword without a sharp edge, he enlarged the tower and smashed it directly. Not good. How can Night Sorrow resist the fog aura? Mutianai, who did not expect Night Sorrow to be able to resist the fog aura so easily, immediately cried out when he saw Little Seven coming at him. Although he was very strong, he was not strong enough to fight against Little Seven, who was an earthly sovereign. Whether it was in terms of speed or laws. At this moment, Mutianai could not dodge even if he wanted to. He was smashed by Little Seven. After being hit, Mutianai was immediately severely injured. At this moment, Little Seven transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. "I just told you that I can use it to cultivate, to fight, and to increase your strength quickly. Now, I'll show you how to increase your strength quickly." Clan M. Chapter 30-32. Great. Little Seven. I'll wait and see. Night Sorrow said excitedly after hearing Little Seven's words. I can turn everything in time into the purest rules and essence. For example, this Mutianai in front of us. Little Seven sent a telepathic message and controlled the tower to smash out again. This time, although Mutianai used all his strength, he was still hit. Although Little Seven was only on the 7th level of the Eternal Divine Tower, it had the power of an earthly sovereign and could easily deal with him. Damn it. I, Mutianai, am always lacking in luck. Am I going to be reincarnated again? No, where there's life, there's hope. I'll just give up. Being suppressed by Little Seven, Mutianai roared in his heart. He knew that the Eternal Divine Tower was going to absorb him and turn him into rules and essence. After struggling for a while, he decided to give up and used his doppelganger hidden in the void to crush the nameplate. He gave up on this battle for Providence. Although it was his doppelganger who crushed the nameplate, his real body was also teleported out. He used a secret technique to escape. Little Seven, who originally wanted to suppress Mutianai and turn him into rules and essence to give to Night Sorrow, didn't stop him. He didn't notice the doppelganger hidden in the void while guarding against Mutianai's real body. Therefore, he didn't stop him. He used his doppelganger to crush the nameplate. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. It's normal that we can't guard against him. Yi Shang comforted little Seven before he continued, however, we must find out who he is in the future. We can't let him bring disaster to the eternal sovereign world. Yes. Every creature in the foggy area that appears in the eternal sovereign world needs to be destroyed as soon as possible. Otherwise, he can cause a lot of chaos. Little Seven said solemnly. Even for a divine artifact of the earthly sovereign level, the foggy area was a terrifying place to be. Yes. We have to find a way to deal with him. But Mu Tianai is hiding in the strongest territory, Tian Shao territory. He will definitely be protected. With our strength, it's very difficult to deal with him. Night Sorrow nodded and said in a serious tone. The Heavenly Owl territory has always been one of the 4 great holy lands in the eternal supreme world. This is indeed a difficult task. Little Seven agreed, then continued, but now that you've suppressed him once, you've already won. In the future, he would definitely suppress it. This was luck. You just need to focus on increasing your strength. Speaking of increasing your strength, you have an opportunity right in front of you. After all, you are already the champion of this year's Battle of Providence. That's right. Our territory in the God realm is the champion. It was impossible for Night Sorrow to not be happy about leading the celestial realm to the championship, but he was still affected by Mu Tianya's incident. He didn't show too much excitement. As for the 10,000 Swords sect, that was a completely different story. He excitedly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, our heavenly realm has won the championship. Is this for real? Am I dreaming? Before participating in the Battle of Providence, the 10,000 Swords sect thought that it would be good enough if the celestial realm could win the 1,000th place. They didn't expect that under the leadership of Night Sorrow, they would climb to the top step by step. He felt that he could die at night if he heard the truth in the morning. Even if he died now, it would be worth it. It's real. All of this is real. We can drink and celebrate. Xiao Tianxian, who had always been mature, also laughed heartily. It was the first time that the celestial realm had won the championship. As a participant, how could he not be excited? It's worth it. At this moment, I feel that everything I've done is worth it. Yuan Fengshue's eyes were red, and she said with tears in her eyes. In order to become the champion this time, Night Sorrow and everyone else had sacrificed too much. To cultivators, not being able to use their divine essence force and divine soul power for 30,000 years was even greater than the destruction of their divine soul. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, "Thank you all for your efforts along the way. It's you who led us to glory. Without you, it would be difficult for us to enter the top 1,000. Murong Zhenlu said with emotion. Like the 10,000 Swords sect, he still felt that everything was a dream. While they were celebrating, only Feng Wuji looked uncomfortable. There was even a hint of a playful smile on his face. Everyone else's faces were dark. They still couldn't accept that the celestial realm had won the championship. At first, Moon Feather Earthly Supremacy's face had darkened. However, after thinking about it for a bit, he smiled. He said, "I wonder what kind of reward this Yi Chang can get for me." In his heart, Night Sorrow was already a fish on the chopping board. He was ready to kill Night Sorrow and take the treasure. At this moment, the scene that they had been watching suddenly stopped. Lunar Feather Earth Sovereign frowned and said, "What's going on?" Lunar Feather Earth Sovereign, this might be Night Sorrow from the celestial realm receiving the special reward for being the champion. The scene inside is covered by something. Dao Wui on the side speculated. In fact, after Yan Hengshi's shadow appeared, Little Seven helped Night Sorrow cover everything. After all, it was the core of the competition field. Congratulations to all of you for reaching the end and becoming the final champion. After Yan Hengshi's shadow appeared, he congratulated Night Sorrow with a smile. Senior. Night Sorrow summoned the others from the celestial realm. Everyone called out to him together and didn't say anything. Good. Good. Every one of you is very righteous. A group of good seedlings has appeared in the celestial realm. In the future, they will definitely stir up the stagnant pool of the eternal supreme world. They will change the situation. Yen Hengshi glanced at everyone and praised. Senior, you flatter me. Night Sorrow immediately said humbly. The others all smiled bitterly. Now, they couldn't even use their divine origin energy and divine soul power. How could they stir up the situation? At this time, Yen Hengshi smiled and said, don't be discouraged. Even if you lose your divine origin energy and divine soul power, as long as your original heart doesn't change, you will recover one day. Flowers have a day to bloom again, so do you. Thank you for your comfort, Senior. Xiao Tianxian cupped his fists and bowed to Yen Hengshi. The others from the Myriad Sword sect also said some words of gratitude. At this time, Yen Hengshi continued, after the pleasantries, it's time to get to the point. I have two things to say. One is a good thing, the other is a bad thing. Which one do you want to hear first? Let's taste bitter first. Let's listen to the bad one first. After everyone in the celestial realm discussed for a while, Night Sorrow said. The others looked at Yen Hengshi with a solemn expression. Good. Yen Hengshi said a good thing and then sighed softly. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, the bad thing is that you used the external force of the eternal divine tower in the final battle and weren't chosen as the inheritor. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3033. I wasn't chosen as the inheritor. That's nothing. After all, I already have my own Tao. After listening to Yen Hengshi's phantom, Night Sorrow felt that this matter was nothing, it was not a bad thing. This is just part of this matter. Then, Yen Hengshi's phantom continued, the other thing is according to my original plan. The great calamity of the eternal supreme world that occurs once in a billion years is about to come again. Without the inheritance of my original body, it will be difficult for you to resist it. Since Senior knows that without your inheritance, we can't resist the great calamity, why do you have to leave the inheritance? Night Sorrow was puzzled, he felt that Yen Hengshi's words were very contradictory. Alas! My original body's inheritance is the rule set by my original body. The rule is dead, if you don't meet the conditions, he won't pass it down. I can't control this matter. Speaking of which, I'm just a housekeeper. Yen Hengshi's phantom said helplessly. In his opinion, Night Sorrow was the most suitable successor, but there was a rule in advance, Night Sorrow couldn't get the inheritance. As for the others in the territory of the divine realm, they were even less qualified to get it. Maybe it's time and fate. Since we can't get it, in the face of the great calamity that Senior mentioned, we can only think of a way ourselves. Night Sorrow said, and then asked doubtfully, as for what kind of calamity it is, I hope Senior can tell me. I don't know what it is exactly. But it must be related to the fog area. Only the creatures in the fog area can threaten the life and death of the eternal supreme world. Yen Hengshi's phantom speculated. Senior, may I ask where the other seniors who appeared in your era are now? Are they still alive? Thinking of the birth of Yen Hengshi, Night Sorrow asked curiously. He didn't seem to be the only life that appeared at that time. I don't know where I came from and how I became sentient. But I know that there were a total of 5 lives at that time. Yen Hengshi recalled for a moment and continued, 2 of them have been staying and guarding the eternal supreme world. They are me and Yen. As for the other 3, they all entered the fog area and completely became bloodthirsty demons. The fall of my original body and Yan's sleep are directly related to them. Back then, a great battle took place between us. So something like this had happened before. Did the 3 existences in the foggy area perish back then? Night Sorrow asked. Sigh. If I remember correctly, although they were all heavily injured back then, none of them died. Perhaps he had already recovered after all these years. Who knows when they will make a comeback? Yen Hengshi's shadow said helplessly. This is indeed a bad thing. Senior, may I ask what the strength of those 3 existences are? Earth Sovereign? Upon hearing this, Knight Sorrow's heart was instantly covered with a layer of shadow. He was worried that the darkened ancient existences would launch an attack on the eternal sovereign realm. Their strength is above the level of an earthly sovereign. When my original body was alive, there was no such thing as how one's realm was calculated. They simply called it the extreme realm. It meant the limit of the supreme being level. However, none of them have surpassed the level of supremacy. Yan Hengsher's shadow said slowly. Is it equivalent to being one level higher than an Earth Sovereign? Now that there are so many Earth Sovereigns in the eternal sovereign realm, they might be able to resist. Before Knight Sorrow could speak, Wan Jianzong said in relief. At this time, Yan Hengsher's shadow continued, it seems that above the Earth Sovereign, there is a heavenly sovereign, and then the supreme extreme realm. Hearing this, Wan Jianzong was immediately speechless. While Wan Jianzong was speechless, Yan Hengsher continued, the three of them have several heavenly sovereigns under them. Send any one of them, and no one in the eternal sovereign realm can resist them. Speaking of which, the cultivators of the eternal sovereign realm in front of us are only born after this realm was cut off. In the battle back then, we lost miserably. All the experts were destroyed. Therefore, many people think that Supreme Longevity is the first Earth Sovereign of the eternal sovereign realm. What? So that's how it is? When Yan Hengsher said this, Knight Sorrow and the rest of the people in the heavenly realm all shuddered. The truth in front of them was much crueler than they had imagined. The difference in strength between the eternal sovereign realm and the creatures in the fog was like heaven and earth. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow, who had a headache, asked doubtfully, Senior, then there's nothing we can do but wait to be harvested? The last hope of the eternal paragon realm is Yen, who is in deep slumber. As long as she can wake up, there is still a glimmer of hope for the eternal sovereign realm. In addition, it depends on your efforts. Yan Hengsher was very helpless. In the battle back then, his original body had been killed. Now, he wanted to help, but he didn't have the ability to do so. Where can we find Senior Yen? The eternal sovereign realm's greatest reliance at the moment was the supreme extreme realm's Yen. Knight Sorrow asked for her location. Hearing this, Yan Hengsher's shadow smiled and said, even those three can't find her, naturally we can't find her. But I believe that when the eternal sovereign realm is in a life and death situation, she will definitely appear. All right. It seems that before that, we can only rely on our own efforts. Knight Sorrow nodded and secretly made up his mind to quickly improve his strength. Strive to advance to the supreme realm as soon as possible, and then strive to become an Earth Supreme. He felt that as long as he kept improving his strength, there would always be a glimmer of hope. Okay. That's all for the bad news. Next, we should talk about the good news. The good news is that although you haven't opened the inheritance, you have received additional rewards. That is to say, in addition to the normal rewards you received in the square after the battle. Right now, I can give you other rewards. Yan Hengsher saw that the atmosphere was a little depressed and opened his mouth to talk about the rewards. What kind of rewards can we get? Hearing Yan Hengsher's words, Knight Sorrow immediately asked. At present, he and everyone in the eternal sovereign realm needed to quickly improve their strength. You have two options. First, Knight Sorrow, you advance to the supreme realm and reach the half-step Earth Supreme realm. Second, all of them recover and reach the peak of the sovereign realm, which is the half-step supreme realm. Yan Hengsher said slowly. This is really a good thing. I choose to let all of them recover. Knight Sorrow didn't hesitate and immediately made his choice. Hearing this, Xiao Tianxian immediately said, no. We choose to let Knight Sorrow advance to the half-step Earth Supreme realm. Knight Sorrow, don't refuse. Letting you become an Earth Supreme is a good thing for both the realm of the gods and the eternal sovereign realm. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 30-34. That's right, Brother Yi. Just agree to it. I feel that one day, we will have to rely on you to resist those terrifying creatures in the fog. Your strength increasing quickly is a good thing for everyone. Thousand Sword Sect also spoke up. That's right. Night Sorrow. You are the hope of all of us. Accept Senior Yan Hengsher's reward. Murong Zizhu also felt that it was more appropriate for Night Sorrow to accept this reward. Wu Lingfei did not speak, but her thoughts were the same as Xiao Tianxian, Thousand Sword Sect, and others. However, because she was too close to Night Sorrow, it was not appropriate for her to say this, so she did not speak. Subsequently, the rest of the people in the heavenly realm all spoke up and agreed with Xiao Tianxian. Since so many people agree to leave the reward to Night Sorrow, then I will help him advance his strength. After so many people expressed their opinions, Yan Hengsher immediately made a decision. However, at this time, Night Sorrow said with a serious expression, "Everyone, I hope you can understand one thing. That is, I, Night Sorrow, have my own Tao. My Tao is to rise in battle, not to accept gifts like this. If I accept this gift, I'm afraid my Tao heart will be unstable. You guys should recover in peace. Senior, help them recover. Night Sorrow is extremely grateful. In the future, I will wholeheartedly protect the safety of the Eternal Supreme Realm. Hee hee. Since you have said so much, then I know what to do." This time, Yan Hengsher's shadow did not continue to say anything, and directly summoned endless energy from this small world. After this energy appeared, it was divided into equal portions and entered the bodies of Xiao Tianxian and the 10,000 Sword Sect members. Not long after, they were completely recovered, and their strength was all promoted to Half-Step Supreme, the same realm as Night Sorrow. Hee hee. How do you guys feel? Seeing that everyone in the heavenly realm had recovered, Night Sorrow asked with concern. We have recovered. Not only have we completely recovered, but our strength has also increased. Thousand Sword Sect, who was originally Half-Step Supreme, said. Even for him, his strength had increased. As for the others, there was no need to even mention them. Wu Lingfei and the others had seen a qualitative increase in their strength. Very good. Not only had everyone recovered their strength, but they had also improved to a certain extent. I didn't win the championship for nothing. Night Sorrow said with relief when he saw that everyone had recovered. At this time, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said speechlessly, I also contributed, but I didn't get anything. When we get out of here, I'll share some of the rewards with you. Night Sorrow said speechlessly. Hearing this, the originally restless chaotic heavenly crystal beast felt a little better. At this time, Yan Hengsher's shadow looked fainter and fainter. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, if nothing unexpected happens, this will be the last battle for Providence because I can't hold on any longer. Soon, everything here, including the inheritance of my original body, was transported to the boundless void and began to drift endlessly. Whoever is fated to see it will have the opportunity. Senior. Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately understood that Yan Hengsher's shadow was about to disappear. He was a little sad. I'm about to dissipate, and this place will soon fall. Everyone, take care. By the way, including my other shadows, if anyone tells you that they will establish an organization to protect the Eternal Supreme Realm, don't believe them. If you want to protect the Eternal Supreme Realm, you can only rely on the efforts of everyone in the Eternal Supreme Realm. Yan Hengsher said again when he was about to dissipate. Yes, Night Sorrow has learned. Night Sorrow moved towards Yan Hengsher's position. Then, the small world they were in collapsed in an instant. He and the others of the Heavenly Realm territory all appeared in the square of the battle for Providence. As soon as Night Sorrow's figure appeared, he was locked onto by Moonfeather Earth Sovereign. After locking onto Night Sorrow's aura, Moonfeather Earth Sovereign did not make a move for the time being. Instead, she smiled and continued, the champion has already appeared. What are you waiting for? Start the awards. But Yu Ling Supreme has already fallen. We don't have the authority to activate the rewards. Dao Wui immediately replied. Yu Ling has already been killed. The authority will naturally fall to someone else. You can try and see who can activate the rewards this year. Moonfeather Earth's sovereign continued. Her intention was clear. She wanted Night Sorrow to get the champion's reward, and then the reward for the person who died. I've already been locked onto by that earthly sovereign. As soon as I move, he will attack. All of you, enter Brother Zhao's space cave. If he attacks me, you will immediately teleport back to the Heavenly Realm territory. Damn it. The Eternal Supreme Realm is about to be destroyed. Some people are still bullying us in the Heavenly Realm territory. We will all stay and help Night Sorrow. Seeing Moonfeather Earth's sovereign's face, Master Wan Jian cursed unhappily. Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately advised, don't be impulsive. If you stay, it will affect my energy. Who knows, I might be able to escape alive if I face the earthly sovereign alone. He had completely sensed Moonfeather Earth's sovereign's murderous intent and knew the difference in strength between them. Moreover, Yan Hengshi had said that the energy here had been exhausted. That meant that even if Moonfeather Earth's sovereign attacked him in front of everyone, he would not be punished. The only thing he could rely on was Little Seven. Little Seven was an earthly sovereign. In front of an earthly sovereign, he would not be able to escape. However, after communicating with Little Seven, Night Sorrow's answer was that it was uncertain. Therefore, everything was unknown. Everyone, let's go. Enter Brother Zhao's space cave. At this moment, Wu Lingfei glanced at Yi Shang and said. After that, she sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. We will wait for your return. I believe that with Little Seven's help, even an earthly sovereign will not be able to do anything to you. Yes. I can still rely on Little Seven to help me escape. Night Sorrow said casually. Then, he took Little Seven out of the space cave and put it in his sleeve. He was ready to fight at any time. While Night Sorrow was briefing the people in the Deity World territory, the sovereigns present went to open the champion's reward one after another. After trying, Dao Wui of the Dao World territory opened the champion's reward. Dao Wui's eyes lit up the moment he opened the champion's reward box. What he saw were pieces of earthly sovereign materials, as well as earthly sovereign laws and essences. In addition, there was also a white jade pendant. This white jade pendant was slightly flawed and looked very gentle. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that its aura was not inferior to that of an earthly sovereign. It was obviously an earthly sovereign treasure. Great. This is good stuff. Upon seeing this white jade pendant, Moonfeather Earth's sovereign's eyes lit up immediately. Clan M. Chapter 30-35. That old man is looking at the jade pendant greedily, as if he's admiring something that belongs to him. Night Sorrow, you must be careful. Xiao Tianxian, who had already sent everyone into the space cave, saw the greedy look on Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign's face and immediately reminded him. When Night Sorrow heard this, he looked at Xiao Tianxian and said, Brother Xiao, I will help you get your rewards. Quickly bring everyone back to the realm of the gods. This is not a place to stay for long. Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign was eager to go. Feng Wuji was next to him. Although he was expressionless, no one knew what he was thinking. Night Sorrow had been guarding against him. All right. Yi Shang, you must remember to be careful. We will wait for your return in the realm of the gods. Xiao Tianxian said helplessly as he patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. He and the others in the realm of the gods were helpless in the face of the current situation. Don't worry. No matter how difficult the road ahead is, I will return to the realm of the gods in one piece. Everyone, take care. Night Sorrow said as he looked at the rewards that would tempt even the earthly sovereigns. At this time, he realized that Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign was targeting him more and more brazenly. After targeting Night Sorrow, Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign began to urge Dao Wui and the others to quickly give out the rewards. After he gave the order, Dao Wui and the others began to give out the rewards. When it came to the top 32 rewards, the number of people was better. When it came to the top 8, many people had been killed and many territories had been wiped out. Only the earthly sovereigns could receive the rewards on behalf of the participants. As for the Jiao territory, it was even worse. Although they had won the third place, there were no earthly sovereigns present. The one who went up was Feng Wuji. Feng Wuji, who went up to receive the reward for the third place, had a playful look on his face. No one could tell if he was happy or angry. When it came to the second place, Mu Tianai walked up to the podium in front of the crowd. He took his reward from Dao Wui's hands. At the same time, he looked at Yi Shang and smiled at him. That smile contained a hint of provocation. I don't know what creature you are. But since you came from the fog region, I will definitely destroy you. No matter where you hide. Night Sorrow said sternly to Mu Tianai through voice transmission. Haha. You can announce my identity to the public and see if anyone here believes you. Mu Tianai provoked indifferently. He knew very well that Night Sorrow was from the realm of the gods and was basically an enemy of the entire world. Even if he told them about what happened in the fog, no one would believe him. I alone am enough to deal with a small fry like you. Night Sorrow said disdainfully to Mu Tianai. At this moment, Mu Tianai smiled and continued, then let's wait and see. The next time we meet, I will kill you with my own hands. Night Sorrow said coldly. At the same time, he began to think of a way to deal with Mu Tianai. Just as Mu Tianai thought, at this moment, no matter what Night Sorrow said, no one would believe him and stand on his side. As for the fact that the creatures in the fog would invade, no one would believe it. Therefore, he was not in the mood to talk about it. While Night Sorrow and Mu Tianai were talking through voice transmission, Xiao Tianxian led the people from the realm of the gods and successfully left through the teleportation portal. After watching them leave, Night Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. At this moment, Mu Tianai received his reward and slowly walked down the stage. Dao Wui said, the winner of this battle of providence is the realm of the gods. People of the realm of the gods, come up and receive your reward. You seem to have forgotten to say, please. Dao Wui's tone was filled with disdain. It was as if he looked down on the realm of the gods. Night Sorrow, who had flown up the stage, harumphed coldly. Do I need to say, please, to someone like you? Have you ever seen someone say, please, to a chicken, a duck, or a goose? What a joke. Dao Wui looked at Night Sorrow with a fake smile. If you have the mood to care about these things, why don't you think about how you can leave here alive? This has nothing to do with you. Give me my reward. Naturally, Yi Shang knew that Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign would make a move on him after the award ceremony. He was already thinking of a way to deal with it. With the pair of forbidden breaking hammers left behind by Little Seven and Wu Lingfei, he was not worried that he would be trapped. After all, there was still the Earthly Supreme Jade Pendant in front of him. Who knows, it might be able to play a good role as well. Hee, you will soon know whose reward these are. Dao Wui sneered and pointed at the treasure chest that was filled with rewards. Take them yourself. Keep them warm. After all, they won't be yours in a while. You don't have to worry about that. Night Sorrow put away the treasure chest in front of him and immediately used the life chart matching technique to make the jade pendant recognize him as its master. With the experience he had with Little Seven, he was able to make the jade pendant recognize him as its master very quickly this time. A moment later, the jade pendant, which had a weapon spirit, sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. I am willing to accept you as my master. Oh. So straightforward? No conditions? Night Sorrow asked curiously. When Little Seven had recognized him as its master, he had mentioned some conditions. Master's life providence is rarely seen in billions of years. To be able to follow by Master's side is already my greatest fortune. The jade pendant said respectfully. All right. In the future, I will not treat you unfairly. Night Sorrow promised. He then asked, White Jade, what can you do? There is a problem ahead of us. We have been targeted by at least one Earthly Supreme. My ability is to nourish the mind. It is very beneficial for cultivation, but I am not very good at fighting. It can be used against those below the earthly supreme level, but it is not very effective against earthly supremes. White Jade said weakly. Hearing this, Night Sorrow suddenly understood why White Jade had recognized him as its master so easily. It turned out that among the earthly supremes, it was a very useless existence. However, it was not bad for it to nourish the mind. Thinking of this, Night Sorrow said, "Strength is a source of support. It can be used to increase the efficiency of cultivation. It is very useful. You don't have to feel inferior. Let me and Little Seven handle this matter. Come, Little Seven, get to know each other." "Ho ho ho, Night Sorrow. The Moon Shadow Estate would like to invite you, the new champion, to our estate as a guest. What do you think?" While Little Seven and White Jade were talking, Moon Feather Earthly Supreme's voice suddenly rang out. "Ho ho ho, invite me to the Moon Shadow Estate? Thank you, but I am not interested." Hearing Moon Feather Earthly Supreme's words, Night Sorrow rejected the invitation without hesitation. Everyone knew that Moon Feather Earthly Supreme was a Sima Zhao. Only a fool would accept his invitation. "Night Sorrow, I have given you some face. Why don't you know how to cherish it?" After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Moon Feather Earthly Supreme laughed coldly and continued, "Today, you have to go, even if you don't want to." Chapter 30-36. Oh. You are an earthly sovereign. Are you going to be so shameless as to attack a junior? Yi Shang asked fearlessly in the face of Moon Feather Earthly Supremacy. He knew that no one in the realm of the gods behind him could fight against an earthly sovereign. He could only rely on himself. While he was questioning Yu Earthly Sovereign, Night Sorrow sent a message to Little Seven and the Restriction-Breaking Hammer. "Little Seven and the Restriction-Breaking Hammer, let's get ready to escape. Both of you cooperate well later." As for the White Jade, it was used to nourish the mind, so he did not take it into consideration. "Yes. Okay." The Restriction-Breaking Hammer and Little Seven replied at the same time. While Night Sorrow, the Restriction-Breaking Hammer, and Little Seven were planning their escape, a sinister smile appeared on Yu Earthly Sovereign's face. Moon Feather Earthly Sovereign smiled viciously and said, "We have already shed all pretense of cordiality with the God world. This time won't make a difference. Junior, prepare to die." After saying this, Yu Earthly Sovereign flew into the air and shot a beam of energy at Night Sorrow. This beam of energy was not used to attack Night Sorrow, but to bind him. After the energy was shot, Night Sorrow immediately shouted, "Little Seven, take me away." "Okay." When Little Seven heard this, he immediately put Night Sorrow and the Restriction-Breaking Hammer into the tower. He was preparing to escape. Hee hee. You want to escape in front of me? If I did not have a way to restrain you, I would have set up an array. Yu Earthly Sovereign saw that Little Seven was about to escape with Night Sorrow. She immediately took out a cobweb-like magical artifact from her space device. After this magical artifact was thrown out, it immediately enveloped Little Seven. It slowly tightened and wrapped around him. This is an Earthly Sovereign artifact. He has an Earthly Sovereign artifact on him. Little Seven, who was trapped, immediately shouted. Generally speaking, Earthly Sovereign artifacts were very rare. Who would have thought that Yu would have one on her? Moreover, it was such a huge net that could cover the sky. Restriction-Breaking Hammers, it's time for you to attack. Yi Shan did not panic when he was trapped by the net that covered the sky. Instead, he commanded the Restriction-Breaking Hammer to try and break free. Let's try. However, the chances of breaking through were not high. After all, this is an Earthly Sovereign artifact, and we are no longer at our peak strength. The male hammer said as it cooperated with the female hammer and attacked the Moonlight Eclipse net of Moonlight Earthly Sovereign. After being attacked by them, the Moonlight Shrouding net immediately began to shrink even more violently. It looked like it was going to crush the small pagoda. Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign laughed and said, "Night Sorrow, oh Night Sorrow. Your strength isn't much, but the treasures you have on you are quite a few. It's exactly what I want. In the future, on this day every year, I will have my disciples burn some paper money for you. Don't worry, even if I die today. Even if I die today, I will make all the artifacts on me explode and leave nothing for you. Night Sorrow roared as he cooperated with the restriction-breaking hammer and Little Seven to attack the moonlight shrouding net. Under their continuous attacks, the moonlight shrouding net could not hold on any longer. Indeed, they are all good stuff. Haha. Especially this pair of hammers. They are not earthly sovereign artifacts, but they can break some of the seals on them. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to cooperate with Little Seven and the restriction-breaking hammer to break the moonlight shrouding net suppression, Moonlight shrouding net was about to break free. Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign nodded her head in satisfaction. Then, she immediately attacked and cooperated with the moonlight shrouding net to completely suppress Little Seven. Lord Moonfeather. These restriction-breaking hammers belong to the Burning Sky territory. Please return them to the Burning Sky territory after you get them. Night Sorrow could not escape from Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign. The Burning Sky territory's sovereign, Fenyuha, immediately spoke. He wanted the restriction-breaking hammers back. Hearing this, Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign sneered and said, "These hammers belong to the Burning Sky territory, but Night Sorrow got them and made them recognize him as their master. They belong to Night Sorrow. Now, they belong to me. What does this have to do with the Burning Sky territory? This. Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign, please consider the harmonious relationship between our territories." Fenyuha of the Burning Sky territory continued. The Burning Sky territory's strength was slightly weaker than the Moon Shadow territories, but not by much. Therefore, he was not very afraid of Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign. "If you spout any more nonsense, I will kill you." After Fenyuha finished speaking, Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign sneered and said with a murderous aura. After being ridiculed like this, Fenyuha could not say anything no matter how much he had in his heart. At this moment, he thought for a moment and looked at Feng Wuji. "Wuji Earthly Sovereign, please help the Burning Sky territory." "Oh? Help the Burning Sky territory? On what basis?" Feng Wuji, who had not spoken or made any movements, immediately asked with a smile when he heard Fenyuha's words. "This. My Burning Sky territory is willing to give the restriction-breaking hammer to you." Fenyuha thought for a moment and said. "Fenyuha. Do you take me for a fool? Using me as a spear? Just based on what you said, you no longer have the right to continue living." A cold smile appeared on Feng Wuji's face. He directly attacked and killed Fenyuha with a palm. At the same time, the murderous aura on his body rose. He looked at Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign and said, "Moonfeather, you are looking down on me too much." "Haha. Brother Wuji, what do you mean by that? My Moon Shadow territory and Night Sorrow are mortal enemies. Isn't it normal for me to attack him?" Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign looked at Feng Wuji with a cold expression. He had an Earthly Sovereign artifact in his hand, so he was not too afraid of Feng Wuji. Therefore, he did not inform Feng Wuji when he attacked. "If we are talking about enmity, does my Nine Profound territory not have enmity with Night Sorrow?" Feng Wuji asked coldly. The murderous aura on his body did not decrease, but increased instead. Sensing the dense murderous aura on Feng Wuji, Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign coldly asked, "Haha. Feng Wuji, have you decided to shed all pretense of cordiality with me? Have you come to fight for Night Sorrow's treasures?" When they had just arrived, Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign had still given Feng Wuji some face. Now, they had completely shed all pretense of cordiality. At this moment, Feng Wuji swept his gaze across the crowd and said, "Those who have nothing to do with this, please leave." When he said this, those who were watching did not dare to stay any longer. Everyone knew that Feng Wuji was going to start a war with Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign. If the two Earthly Sovereigns were to fight, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, no one dared to stay any longer. One after another, they left using the teleportation array. They returned to their territories and reported to their superiors. Feng Wuji, don't think that you are invincible just because you are from the 4 great saint lands. Today, I will kill you. Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign looked viciously at Feng Wuji and threw out a punch at him. This punch was completely different from the one that had tied up Night Sorrow. The rules and power that it contained were extremely terrifying. Clan. Chapter 30-37. After witnessing Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign's move, Night Sorrow realized the gap between him and an earthly sovereign. At the same time, he ordered Little Seven and the restriction-breaking hammer to think of a way to break the array. They wanted to take advantage of the battle between Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign and Feng Wuji to find a way to escape. The moonlight shrouding net had lost the direct control of Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign and its power was obviously weaker. However, in the next moment, something happened that made Night Sorrow completely dumbfounded. After Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign had made a probing attack, Feng Wuji, who had suddenly struck out, had turned Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign into nothingness. In an instant, the moonlight shrouding net had completely lost control. Damn! He killed an earthly sovereign with one move. This is a ruthless person. He is definitely not an earthly sovereign. When the moonlight shrouding net had lost control, Little Seven immediately realized that Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign's spiritual soul had been destroyed. The elites of the 4 great sanctuaries are indeed incomparable to ordinary territories. Seeing that Feng Wuji had killed Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign with one move, Night Sorrow suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. In the hands of Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign, they could not escape. In the face of such a powerful Feng Wuji, there was even less of a chance. Master. What should we do? Should we really self-destruct? Why don't we seek refuge with this elite? Bai Yu, who had been silent all this while, immediately tried to persuade Night Sorrow when she saw how powerful Feng Wuji was. I don't think you should be called Bai Yu. You should be called Nephrite. Hearing Bai Yu's words, Little Seven immediately said with disdain. Hee, Nephrite is a good name. At this moment, Feng Wuji, who had already retracted his murderous aura, smiled. As for Yishang, he saw a trace of complicated emotions in Feng Wuji's eyes. Oh. What's going on? Night Sorrow remembered that Feng Wuji had started to target him when the Battle of Providence had just begun. He did not know why he had such a complicated look in his eyes now. Night Sorrow. Come out and talk. Feng Wuji looked at Little Seven and said. What are you trying to say? Night Sorrow asked coldly after coming out of the pagoda. Facing such a powerful Feng Wuji, he would not be able to escape no matter what. He no longer had any thoughts of escaping. Now, he was thinking about how to let Little Seven, White Jade, and the restriction-breaking hammer escape. He did not want them to self-destruct, but he also did not want them to fall into Feng Wuji's hands. What I want to say is that you don't have to think too much. You don't need to do that when you're facing me. Feng Wuji had an amiable smile on his face. This kind of smile was different from the cold indifference he showed to others. Seeing the friendly smile on Feng Wuji's face, Night Sorrow was puzzled. He had no idea why Feng Wuji, who had a grudge against the Firmament territory, would treat him in such a manner. At this time, Feng Wuji smiled and said, Next, I will tell you a secret, but you cannot tell anyone about it, including the people of the God Realm's territory. Alright, go ahead. Yi Shang was at a complete loss. He didn't know what Feng Wuji was trying to do, so he could only reply in agreement. Back then, I was ambushed by a spy from the Firmament territory in the Supreme Space and was poisoned by a strange poison that was difficult to cure. Then, I was surrounded by dozens of Supremes. At that time, there were at least 800 Supremes, if not 1,000. However, I did not die. Instead, I successfully possessed Feng Wuji in the chaotic battle. At this point, you should know who I am, right? After Feng Wuji finished speaking, his face immediately changed into a scholarly look. Night Sorrow took a closer look, and his eyes instantly moistened. The person in front of him was none other than Supreme Longevity. Senior longevity. I didn't expect you to survive and possess Feng Wuji. After Supreme Longevity recovered his appearance, he also completely recovered his original aura. This aura was exactly the same as the image that the Horned Supreme summoned. Sigh. If not for that battle back then, I might not have been stuck at the Sky Supreme level for the rest of my life. Feng Wuji's body is not talented enough. It can't advance any further. Supreme Longevity sighed and continued, the future of the firmament and the eternal supreme world still rests on your shoulders. I lost the chance to advance to the supreme realm, but you have it. Senior, you flatter me. Night Sorrow said humbly. Then, he asked, Senior Changsheng, is there no other way? Can you take over someone else's body? I can possess someone else, but I can't find a suitable body at the moment. There are simply too few bodies in the world that can advance to the supreme realm. Even among the 4 sacred grounds, it's hard to find one. You're the only one in all these years. Supreme Longevity sighed. Mu Tianya's body can't do it either? He should be from the fog region. Night Sorrow asked curiously. Mu Tianyi was ultimately a ticking time bomb. He would not be happy if he did not get rid of him. You mean him? He's just trash. At most, he can advance to the Earth's supreme level. Supreme Longevity pulled Mu Tianyi out of the space grotto. Before the battle with you earthly sovereign, Sovereign Changsheng had dispersed the crowd. However, he had secretly taken control of Mu Tianyi and did not give him a chance to escape. The moment he was thrown to the ground, Mu Tianyi looked at Supreme Longevity and said, Supreme Longevity, I didn't expect you to be so scheming. You've been hiding under the identity of Feng Wuji. Many territories have attacked the firmament territory, but you didn't help at all. You evil spirit, do you really think that you're from Tianshao territory? Know your place. You're just an evil spirit from the fog region. Who are you to meddle in the affairs of the firmament territory? Supreme Changsheng said disdainfully before crushing Mu Tianyi into pieces. Then, he threw the space grotto to Night Sorrow and said, all these years, I've been helping the firmament territory secretly, but I've never shown myself. Because there are spies in the firmament territory, and there's more than one. When you return to the firmament territory in the future, you must be careful. Now, I can confirm that the spy is the governor of the firmament city. But I've already killed him. What? The governor of the firmament city is a spy? Hearing this, Night Sorrow was shocked. So the governor had already been killed. No wonder no one could find him. Don't be surprised. My judgment won't be wrong. He was the one who poisoned me back then. If not for him, no one else could have poisoned me so easily. Supreme Longevity said with a sigh. The governor of the firmament territory was the deputy governor of the firmament territory. He was also Supreme Longevity's most trusted person. It was also him who poisoned Supreme Longevity. However, after he poisoned Supreme Longevity, he did not steal Supreme Longevity's body's laws and essence. He did not advance to the Earth's supreme level. Under his leadership, the firmament territory gradually declined to the state it was today. Genius memorized this site's address. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3038. Senior Longevity. The 2 Vice City Lords of the God World are also missing. They said they went to look for the City Lords. Are they also? Night Sorrow asked. He didn't finish his sentence. They aren't traitors, but they are juniors. They don't know what happened back then. However, they are trapped in a secret realm in the supreme space. Their situation isn't good. They need you to rescue them. Supreme Longevity said slowly after hearing Night Sorrow's words. Oh. Where are the 2 Vice City Lords trapped? Night Sorrow asked curiously. Now that the God World had lost its backbone, Supreme Longevity shouldn't be exposed even though he had appeared. Night Sorrow felt that if he could rescue the 2 Vice City Lords, the God World's strength would definitely increase. In addition, the God World had won the battle for Providence. They didn't have to worry about providence for the time being. If they didn't go to a public place like the Supreme Space, they could rest and recuperate for many years. The secret realm they are trapped in is called the Big and Small Grotto Heavens. It's a chain trap array. However, there are good opportunities inside. If you can get the resources inside, you should be able to break through to the supreme level. Supreme Longevity continued, however, their lives aren't in danger now. Let's think about other things first. Senior Longevity, please speak. Night Sorrow looked at him. Towards someone like Longxing Supreme who had made great contributions to the divine realm, he held reverence in his heart. This had nothing to do with cultivation. It was about feelings. Night Sorrow felt that. Being a person, or rather, as a cultivator, feelings for the country were very important. And Longxing Supreme was clearly someone who could take on such responsibilities. If it wasn't for the accident back then, he would have led the God world to stand at the peak of the eternal supreme world. No need to be so serious. Although we are from different eras, we should still be friends. Supreme Longevity smiled and said, next, I will impart to you a few mystiques. Mystiques? Night Sorrow looked at him in confusion. The Supreme Longevity explained, mystiques are the inherited secret techniques of each territory. What I'm going to impart to you is the God world's inherited secret technique, God's finger. As well as the 9 mystical territories' inherited secret skill, Mysterious Sky Secret Shadow. Arcane Shadows was the best movement technique in the eternal sovereign world. As for the divine finger, it is the secret skill with the strongest attack power. Inherited secret technique? So the God realm's inherited secret techniques haven't been lost? Yi Shan said in shock. He didn't expect the Supreme Longevity to know the secret technique of the divine world's territory, and even control the secret technique of the 9 mystical territories. I'm probably one of the people who know the secret techniques of the God realm. There will be another you in the future. As for the mysterious sky shadow, don't use it unless it's a life-saving situation. After Changxing said that, he extended a finger and tapped Night Sorrow's forehead. In an instant, 2 sparkling and translucent runes appeared in Yi Shan's mind. After absorbing these 2 runes, Night Sorrow didn't even need to comprehend them. He directly learned the God's finger and mysterious sky secret shadow that Supreme Longevity had imparted to him. These 2 mystiques are indeed amazing. After Night Sorrow learned these 2 mystiques, his movement technique and attack power improved tremendously. If you are smart enough, you can combine these 2 mystiques to create a new ultimate technique. Then, you can use it as you wish. Supreme Longevity added, as a matter of fact, there are over 10,000 realms in the eternal supreme world. Legend has it that if you can combine the mystiques of tens of thousands of territories, it will become the strongest technique in the world. However, how can it be possible to obtain the mystiques of tens of thousands of territories? Combining the mystiques of tens of thousands of territories, this is indeed something that I don't even dare to think about. Night Sorrow smiled, but his heart was shaken. Yes. Only by combining tens of thousands of Daos can one become the strongest. Supreme Longevity finished and sighed. If the territories of the eternal sovereign world can put aside their selfishness and contribute all their mystiques, perhaps when the great calamity comes, our eternal sovereign world will have a chance. However, there will always be black sheep in the world. Defecting to the enemy or being selfish. This idea is an impossible dream. Yes. Although I haven't been in the eternal sovereign world for long, I can see that this place is definitely not a monolithic block. When the great calamity comes, who knows what will happen? Night Sorrow agreed. From the battle for providence, he realized that most of the territories in the eternal sovereign world had evil intentions. When it comes to the great calamity, the eternal sovereign world can only rely on its looks. As for you, you are a variable. You have the potential to reach the supreme realm, but time is a problem. Supreme Longevity said. Then, he continued, although I am not sure of the exact time, that day is not too far away. What you need to do now is to quickly increase your strength and lead the territories in the God world to increase their strength. If the eternal sovereign world cannot save them, we will think of a way to save the God world. All right. In that case, Senior Longevity, I will first return to the God world to take a look. After that, I will rescue the two Vice City Lords and strive to become a supreme while rescuing them. Night Sorrow cupped his fists at Supreme Longevity and prepared to head to the teleportation portal. At this moment, Supreme Longevity said, "If you want to increase your strength quickly, the fog is a good place. The white jade on you can help you to calm your mind and ensure that you will not be affected by the normal fog." All right. After rescuing the two Vice City Lords, I will go to the fog to cultivate. Night Sorrow nodded at Supreme Longevity and flew to the teleportation portal. He looked at the other party and asked, "Senior Longevity, if I take these rewards away, won't I expose your identity?" "No worries. I have a solution." Supreme Longevity Immortal smiled and turned back into Feng Wuji, disappearing from the world. Strong. Really strong. He should be one of the best among the Sky Supremes. It's just that he did not have the chance to reach the Supreme Realm. What a pity. After Supreme Longevity transformed into Feng Wuji and left, Little Seven could not help but sigh. When Supreme Longevity was around, it was suppressed to the point that it did not dare to speak. Bai Yu was the same. After Supreme Longevity left, he exclaimed, "I can't believe I have such a use. I can be used to resist the fog." Originally, Bai Yu thought that he was just a useless piece of jade that could only be used to cultivate his mind. Now, he was very surprised. He felt that he had become a useful piece of jade. No one can be compared to your effectiveness. I will have to rely on you when I go to the fog in the future. Otherwise, I might be affected by the fog too. I might turn into a bloodthirsty monster. Night Sorrow said to Bai Yu, then activated the teleportation portal and returned to the God world. Clan M. Chapter 30-39. Night Sorrow stepped out of the teleportation circle and appeared in the teleportation circle of Peace City. There was no one around the teleportation circle. Night Sorrow used his divine soul to check and found that there were no cultivators in Peace City except for some guards. He then used his divine soul to check and found that Prime Golden Crow was still sitting at the gate of Peace City. Therefore, Yi Shang flew towards the gate of Ping An City. Prime Golden Crow. Where are the people in Peace City? Yi Shang asked doubtfully after arriving beside the Golden Crow Paragon. He. They have all returned to the realm of the gods to celebrate. Our realm of the gods has won the battle of Providence. This is great news and worth celebrating. Prime Golden Crow waited for Night Sorrow to speak before he looked at him and said with a smile. I see. That's good to hear. Night Sorrow was relieved when he heard this. He thought that something had happened to the realm of the gods. Night Sorrow. This time, the realm of the gods has resolved the crisis and achieved such a good result. You have contributed greatly. I thank you on behalf of everyone in the realm of the gods. While saying this, the Golden Crow stood up from the ground and prepared to bow. Night Sorrow quickly stopped him. Senior Golden Crow, please don't do this. This is what Night Sorrow should do. I can't accept your great gift. Of course. If it weren't for you, the providence of our realm of the gods would have been depleted. By then, we would have become the prey of the other territories. Prime Golden Crow sighed and continued, everyone is celebrating. You should go back to the realm of the gods. After all, you are the main character. Senior Golden Crow, now that the providence of our realm of the gods has increased by so much, the other territories wouldn't dare to invade us. Why don't you go back and celebrate with everyone? Night Sorrow invited. He had to go back. At the very least, he had to see his wife Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei. He had to figure out what had happened between the two of them. I won't go back. You can go back and celebrate. I will continue to stand guard here for everyone. After saying that, the Golden Crow sat on the ground again and closed his eyes to rest. Then I'll take my leave. Night Sorrow said as he looked at the back of the golden crow. He then flew towards the celestial realm from Peace City. Along the way, he did not meet any cultivators. It was clear that most of the cultivators in the divine world were gathered in the divine world cities. As expected. When Night Sorrow flew back to the outskirts of the divine world city, he used his divine sense to investigate and found that it was indeed the case. At this time, 2 large red lanterns were hung high above the city gate, looking very festive. As for the city, there were cheers and laughter everywhere. This was something that had never happened in the divine world city for tens of thousands of years. Seeing everyone's smiles, Night Sorrow suddenly felt that everything he had done was worth it. However, when he thought of the few Lameter creatures in the foggy area, his fighting spirit rose once again. He thought to himself, no matter what, I have to protect the divine world and my family and friends. Night Sorrow did not have deep feelings for the eternal supreme world. However, the divine world and its territories were too important to him. The degree of importance could be compared to his life. I feel that your friends aren't very loyal to their friends. You narrowly escaped death and they actually came back to celebrate like this. At this time, Little Seven said unhappily. Everyone should be happy and celebrate after winning the championship. Besides, this is definitely not their idea. Yi Shang smiled and used the power of his divine soul to sweep towards the City Lord's mansion. At this time, in the City Lord mansion, some of the important supremes of the divine world territory were present. Shao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, and others were also present. Many of the supremes were in a good mood. Especially the White Tiger, who kept saying something. However, Shao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, Wu Lingfei, and others did not look too good. Night Sorrow glanced and realized that they should be unhappy because of his matter. He transmitted his voice to Little Seven and said, "Look at you, gauging the heart of a gentleman with the yardstick of a villain. All right. They are quite loyal." Little Seven also glanced and said faintly. It had the strength of an Earth Supreme. Even the Supremes of the Divine World territory did not sense it. However, when Night Sorrow was probing the City Lord mansion, he was sensed by Supreme Ancestor Phoenix. When Supreme Ancestor Phoenix sensed this aura, he immediately flew out of the City Lord mansion. Good. 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 Seeing that it was Night Sorrow standing outside the City Lord mansion, Supreme Ancestor Phoenix said 3 good words in a row. Then, he said excitedly, "Night Sorrow. I am so happy that you can come back. Without you, this celebration ceremony would have no meaning at all. Follow me in." "All right." Night Sorrow replied and did not refuse. In front of him was some rare time as a cultivator. After resting for a while, he would once again embark on his journey. After all, the 2 deputy city lords were still trapped in the big and small grotto heavens. And in the supreme space, there were many other supremes of the other territories who had sealed the divine world territory. It was not easy to break through their blockade. Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, you're back. It's really you, that's great. When Night Sorrow followed Supreme Ancestor Phoenix into the City Lord mansion, Myriad Sword Sect was the first to stand up. Wu Lingfei, who originally had a gloomy expression, suddenly burst into tears. Hee hee. Hello everyone. I've returned safely. Night Sorrow smiled and greeted everyone, then walked to Wu Lingfei's side and sat down. For a moment, Shao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, Murong Junlu, and the others all became energetic and began to chat with him. What everyone asked was basically how Night Sorrow managed to survive and return. And Night Sorrow naturally would not reveal that Supreme Longevity had possessed Feng Wuji, so he casually made up a story. He said that Feng Wuji and Supreme Moonfeather's battle was too intense. In the situation where they were locked in battle, he used the restriction-breaking hammer to break the seal and successfully escaped through the teleportation array. Everyone who could not think of any other possibility naturally believed it. Then, under the auspices of Supreme Ancestor Phoenix, everyone began to enjoy a celebratory feast. When the celebratory feast was over, Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said, go and see Jing Yun. She heard that you didn't return and became depressed. She locked herself in the house and refused to come out. All right. I'll go and see her, then we'll settle the matter between us. Yi Shang said as he walked towards the courtyard where Jing Yun was. Before they even arrived, he had already used the power of his divine sense to scan them. With this scan, he was instantly enraged. At this moment, Jing Yun was sitting in the house with a gloomy expression. In her courtyard, there was a black shadow that was preparing to launch a sneak attack on her. Genius memorized this address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 30-40. Moreover, this black figure clearly had the aura of a supreme martial artist. If not for Knight Soro's arrival, Jing Yun would have been killed. To attack Knight Soro's family in the realm of gods, needless to say, this supreme martial artist must have been bribed by people from other territories. While Knight Soro was furious, he was not willing to give him a chance to attack. He immediately used the divine finger on him. This was a divine ability that he had just learned from the supreme longevity. With a point of his finger, a pale blue light pillar immediately blasted out. Who's there? The black-clothed supreme martial artist, who was about to attack Jing Yun, immediately frowned as he noticed Knight Soro's attack. However, just as he was about to counterattack, his dantian was directly shattered by this finger. Who's there? I should be the one asking you these 3 words. Knight Soro's attack succeeded and did not give the other party any chance to escape or even self-destruct. He immediately sealed his soul and broke his disguise. After breaking his disguise, Knight Soro's heart skipped a beat. The black-clothed supreme martial artist in front of him was actually the Silver Spear Supremacy, Yang Tiancheng. Tell me, why did you attack my family? Before the fight for Providence, the Silver Spear Supremacy, Yang Tiancheng, had taught Knight Soro the Yang's heaven-splitting art. This move had helped Knight Soro many times in the future battles. For a moment, Knight Soro could not accept it. Winner takes all, what's there to say? Yang Tiancheng, whose dantian had been destroyed, revealed a cold smile on his face. There was no longer the fierce and peaceful look on his face. It was completely occupied by ruthlessness. What's going on? Husband, you're back. At this moment, Jing Yun, who had been startled by the sound, came back to her senses and walked out of the room. Seeing Knight Soro return, she immediately burst into tears like Wu Lingfei. Jing Yun. We'll talk about our matters later. This person in front of you wanted to launch a sneak attack on you just now. We have to interrogate him clearly. Knight Soro said coldly. Senior Silver Spear Supremacy, Yang Tiancheng? How is this possible? When Jing Yun saw that the black-clothed man was Yang Tiancheng, a look of disbelief appeared on her face. Nothing is impossible. If I hadn't arrived in time, you might have already been killed. Knight Soro said with lingering fear. When she heard this, Jing Yun frowned and said, why don't we hand him over to Exalt Zhu Feng and the others for interrogation? I'm afraid it's not appropriate for us to interrogate him alone. All right. Knight Soro replied and transmitted his voice to Supreme Ancestor Phoenix. When Paragon Ancestor Phoenix arrived and saw what was happening, she immediately transmitted a message to the other paragons in the god world. When these supreme beings arrived, they couldn't believe their eyes. No one believed that the Silver Spear Paragon, Yang Tiancheng, would do such a thing. However, Knight Soro cultivated the power of virtue and never spoke nonsense. Naturally, they would not doubt Knight Soro. Everyone, bring him back to the City Lord Mansion for interrogation. When the numerous supreme beings arrived, Supreme Being Zhu Feng immediately gave the order to bring Yang Tiancheng back to the City Lord's mansion. Then, she and the other supreme beings began to interrogate him. During the process of interrogating Yang Tiancheng, Knight Soro did not participate. After going through a series of battles, he was a little tired. That night, he talked to Jing Yun for a while before resting with her. The next morning, Supreme Ancestor Phoenix came to look for Knight Soro. He told her the whole story. It turned out that the Silver Spear Paragon, Yang Tiancheng, had already defected to a subordinate territory of the Moon's Shadow Territory. He had received the order to kill Knight Sorrow's family. After saying this, Supreme Ancestor Phoenix asked, Knight Sorrow, how do you think we should deal with him? Kill him directly or what? Senior Ancestor Phoenix, just make the arrangements. However, since such a thing happened in the God world, we must be more vigilant in the future. After saying this, Knight Sorrow asked, by the way, Senior Ancestor Phoenix, how is the matter in the Supreme Space? Are there people from other territories waiting for us? Such a thing happening in the main city of the God world gave him a very bad feeling. Knight Sorrow wanted to quickly rescue the 2 deputy city lords and return to take charge of the situation. Sigh. Don't mention it. A few days ago, we sent people to investigate. As soon as they entered the Supreme Space, they were killed by people from other territories. They've gone too far. Supreme Ancestor Phoenix said with a gloomy face. Senior Ancestor Phoenix, how many supreme beings are there and how strong they are? Knight Sorrow continued to ask in detail. I'm not sure about their specific strength. There are about 20 to 30 of them. They are scattered outside the passage of our God world territory. If many of us enter, they will immediately gather a large number of supreme beings, making it impossible for us to go in. Supreme Ancestor Phoenix sighed. Now in the God world territory, the strength of the sovereigns had increased qualitatively. Other than Knight Sorrow, everyone who participated in the battle for Providence had advanced to the half-step supreme being level. This was something unimaginable in the past. Senior Ancestor Phoenix, I'm clear about the matter. You have worked hard. Knight Sorrow said and sent Supreme Ancestor Phoenix away. Then, he gathered everyone who participated in the battle for Providence in Jingyun's small courtyard. After setting up the defense, he said, I'm sure you all are clear about what happened to Jingyun. Now in the God world territory, I'm afraid there aren't many people who can be trusted. I can only trust you all. In a few days, I will enter the Supreme Space to investigate. But I don't feel at ease asking other Supreme Beings to come with me. Who among you is willing to take the risk with me? Everyone in front of him had gone through life and death together. Knight Sorrow trusted them. I'm willing. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, Myriad Sword Sect was the first to answer. He didn't have any consideration, so he answered faster than anyone else. After Myriad Sword Sect finished speaking, Xiao Tianxian also responded, of course I'm willing. At this time, Murong Junlu said with a smile, haha, Knight Sorrow, you should be the one who's unwilling, right? We are all brothers who have gone through life and death together. Naturally, we will enjoy blessings and endure hardships together. That's right, we are all willing to fight side by side with you. Yuan Fengxue also nodded. Her statement was quickly affirmed by the others. Seeing that everyone had agreed, Knight Sorrow said in a good mood, then let's completely form a gold team. Let's stand side by side. However, if a worker wants to do a good job, he must first sharpen his tools. It's time for me to distribute the champion's reward to everyone. No, you were the one who fought for the championship. You keep it to break through to the Supreme Realm. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, Jin Xian immediately retorted. Like Jin Xian, the others were not willing to accept the gift. After all, Knight Sorrow had chosen to let them recover their strength in front of Yan Hengshi, and everyone had already taken advantage of it once. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to get this championship. Everyone should share it together. As for me advancing to the Supreme Realm, it should be in the Supreme Space. Knight Sorrow recalled what the Supreme Longevity had said and guessed that he should be able to advance to the Supreme Realm in the Big and Small Grotto Heavens. Clan M. Chapter 3041. At this time, Xiao Tianxian said, how about this? Jing Yun's strength is relatively weak. Let her absorb these resources and strive to advance to half-step Supreme Being. Strive to catch up to us and advance in the Grotto Heavens together. Yes. That's fine. It's already a pity that she didn't participate in the War of Providence. This time, we must make up for this regret. Let's go together. Hearing Xiao Tianxuan's words, Yuan Fengxue immediately agreed. At this time, she stood together with Wu Lingfei and Jing Yun. Not good. This is not good. I didn't do anything. I can't enjoy the rewards alone. Jing Yun embarrassedly declined. No need to be embarrassed. Our strength has reached a bottleneck. Relying on these rewards alone, we can't advance to Supreme Being. You can use these resources to cultivate at ease. Seeing that Jing Yun was unwilling to accept the resources, Wu Lingfei immediately persuaded. Then, Murong Zhenlu and the others also persuaded her. In the end, Jing Yun accepted the Supreme Being and Earth Supreme Being's law and essence. Night Sorrow, when are we leaving? After Jing Yun accepted the things and began cultivating, Myriad Sword Sect asked with interest. No hurry. We just returned. Someone must be watching us. Currently, there must be a traitor in the realm of the gods. We need to wait for the other party to lower their vigilance before leaving. Night Sorrow said and continued, we need to create the illusion that everyone is trying to advance to Supreme Being. Then, sneak into the Supreme Being space. What we need now is the map of the Supreme Being space. Otherwise, we will be very blind when we enter. Leave the map to me. I can handle it. My grandfather definitely has it. Jin Xian said and continued, do you want me to go get it now? Go. I'm not suitable to go with you. Brother Wan will go with you. However, you don't just need to get the map. You also need to set up a few teleportation formations in the hunting area. Night Sorrow looked at Jin Xian and said. Then, Jin Xian and Myriad Sword Sect went to Peace City together. According to Night Sorrow's instructions, they set up the teleportation formations. The teleportation formations were naturally used by Night Sorrow to shake off some Supreme Beings. After the two of them left, Jing Yun entered a state of cultivation. As for the champion's reward that Night Sorrow had brought back, to a lesser dominator, it was simply heaven-defying. After absorbing for more than a month, she had directly advanced to the middle-level dominator rank. This speed of improvement didn't seem like something a sovereign could achieve. It was precisely because her strength had increased too quickly that Jing Yun's state of mind was somewhat affected, and she did not dare to continue cultivating like this. At this rate, she should be able to reach half Martial Highness in less than 3 years. This cultivation speed was like that of a low-level cultivator who had just started cultivating. This wasn't something a ruler should have. After Jing Yun told Night Sorrow about her state of mind, Night Sorrow smiled and said, you don't have to feel burdened. Look at how many years we've been participating in the Battle of Providence. I've already advanced from the Divine King to a half-step supreme. Although you've improved a lot after we left, the gap is still very obvious. Therefore, it shouldn't be a problem for me to quickly increase my strength. Is that so? In the divine world, anyone who could advance to the dominator rank within a few epochs was a top genius. At the eternal supreme level, with the support of large amounts of resources, the speed of advancing to the dominator rank was more than 1,000,000 times faster. At this time, Jing Yun was still somewhat confused and felt that everything was too dreamy. Jing Yun. It's like this in the eternal supreme world. If you can't keep up with the pace, you'll be eliminated. The speed of improvement here is faster than in the divine world because this world is more advanced and more cruel. After Night Sorrow said this, he continued, to tell you the truth, it won't be long before the eternal supreme world welcomes a terrifying calamity. Do you know how strong our opponents are? Not Supremes, not Earth Supremes, not Sky Supremes, but Ultimate Supreme. Imagine how big the difference is. If we don't quickly increase our strength, how can we fight against them? Night Sorrow. Is what you said true? Hearing this, Xiao Tianxian and the others all became solemn. This was no ordinary matter. Every word is true, and the source is very reliable. The enemies we are about to face are from the same era as Yan Hengshi. Moreover, in the last great calamity, he had killed Yan Hengshi and severely injured another senior. Moreover, they killed all the other experts in the eternal supreme world and absorbed all their energy. The people in our eternal paragon realm are all newly matured. Night Sorrow said with a solemn expression. The three sovereigns in the foggy area were definitely the greatest threat to the eternal supreme world. Originally, Night Sorrow didn't want to talk about this matter in detail, but because of Jing Yun's cultivation, he couldn't help but say it. By the time Yi Shang had finished explaining the matter, no one present said a word. They knew the seriousness of this matter. After a long silence, Jing Yun broke the silence and said, "I understand. I won't be a burden to everyone anymore." After saying that, Jing Yun returned to the secret chamber to cultivate. A year later, Jing Yun successfully advanced to an intermediate dominator. 2.5 years later, she successfully advanced to an upper dominator. At this time, Jing Yun originally wanted to continue cultivating, but Jin Xian and Myriad Sword Master returned, indicating that the matter had been settled. Thus, Night Sorrow called Jing Yun out of her cultivation state. He said to everyone, "This time, we are going to the Grotto Heaven to save the 2 deputy city lords. However, there are traitors in the Divine World territory, so we need to do it secretly. Everyone, follow me to the hunting area. Let's get rid of some of the spies." Okay. The others present didn't say much, but they were full of fighting spirit. Then, Night Sorrow led them into the hunting area. The hunting area was a barrier that Supremes couldn't easily attack, but if they just stepped in, it wasn't a big deal. Night Sorrow and the others had just entered when someone followed them. Someone is following us. It should be Supreme Lu He. We are fully capable of killing him. But there's no need. We have to create the illusion that we have entered the forbidden area. And use the teleportation array to leave. If our true destination is exposed, there will definitely be many Supremes in the supreme space to kill us. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he led everyone into the forbidden area. This time, when he entered the forbidden area again, he felt completely different from the last time. Those golden wild beasts that had been difficult to deal with in the past were no longer a threat in his eyes. However, when he saw the stone coffin in the forbidden area again, he still felt that he couldn't see through it. Because of this, he didn't meet the Supremes who had helped him before. However, the eggs that he had come into contact with had already hatched. After he found them, he gave them some resources. Then, he kept everyone in the Grotto Heaven, used the concealment rune, and left the forbidden area. Chapter 3042. When Night Sorrow led the group out of the forbidden zone, the supreme beings outside were still monitoring them. Moreover, 3 of them appeared at once. Aren't they afraid of being exposed for spying on us so blatantly? Wan Jianzong, who was hiding in Night Sorrow's space Grotto Heaven, said unhappily when he saw the supreme beings after Night Sorrow's reminder. Hearing this, Night Sorrow sneered. Do you think it's a good thing to join other territories? They must have made some kind of oath that they must do whatever the other party asks of them. Pitiful people must have something to hate. Wan Jianzong said disdainfully. If the heavenly realm wasn't facing a crisis, they wouldn't have made such a choice. At that time, the heavenly realm was in danger. It's understandable that they joined other territories. Night Sorrow glanced at the 3 supreme beings who didn't notice him and said coldly, "It's understandable, but unforgivable." Yes. Absolutely unforgivable. Yuan Fengxue said disdainfully. Most of the cultivators were very righteous. They could not accept the act of betraying their own territory. What's our next step? At this time, Xiao Tianxian asked. Just in case, we'll use the teleportation portal. After a few teleportations, we'll go to the supreme space. Everyone, be careful. When we reach the supreme space, we might encounter the supreme beings of other territories. A battle will be unavoidable. Moreover, the other party should be supreme beings, whose cultivation realm is higher than ours. When we fight, we must ensure our own safety. Night Sorrow said and led the group to use the teleportation portal. They teleported 7 to 8 times in a row. They successfully appeared at the entrance of the supreme space. At this time, there was no one at the entrance of the supreme space. This was normal. After all, the heavenly realm was targeted by other territories. As long as they entered the supreme space, they would be intercepted and killed. This also caused the heavenly realm's territory to not have anyone enter the supreme space for many years. Let's go. After so many years, no one has entered. The supremes of the other territories should have relaxed their guard by now. After all, they still have to cultivate. Seeing that there was no one at the entrance of the supreme space, Xiao Tianxian said. Something's not right. At this moment, Yishang's brows furrowed. He discovered that there were several image crystals at the entrance of the sovereign space. Although Night Sorrow had a concealment rune on his body, this kind of image crystal could record the patterns of energy fluctuations. Upon closer inspection, there was definitely someone who had entered. After Night Sorrow told them about the image crystal, Master of 10,000 Swords said, "What's there to be afraid of? By the time they realize that we've been here, everyone will be long gone. It won't delay the rescue. But after being discovered, it will be very difficult for us to come back," Night Sorrow said with a frown. If the hostile forces found out about their entry, they would definitely arrange for many supreme beings to block their way back. Then it would be difficult for the people in front of him to come back. That is a problem. Destroying the crystal won't work either, Yuan Fengxue said with a frown. These few image crystals had become a problem. At this moment, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Restriction Breaker and Little Seven. Do you have any ideas? The image crystals set up by the enemy look very simple. But they are made by an Earth Supreme Being, so it won't be so easy to destroy. After observing for a while, Little Seven said. Restriction Breaker's male hammer also said, "That's right. It's easy to destroy them, but it's almost impossible to do so without alerting the enemy. Unless they have the strength of a Sky Supreme Being. Forget it. In that case, we'll just go in like this. We'll talk about it when we come back. Maybe when we become Supreme Beings, the Supreme Beings from the other territories will be useless." Indeed, there was no other way. Night Sorrow, who did not want to waste any more time, did not hesitate and directly entered the sovereign space. After entering the sovereign space, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to everyone. There should be many supreme beings from the enemy territories nearby. There are too many people, so I won't let everyone out for now. All right. You have the best movement technique, the strongest strength, and the eye of the Mirage Dragon. You should hurry, Jin Xian said as he handed the map to Night Sorrow. The big and small grotto heavens are not too far away from us. If nothing unexpected happens, we can reach it in 3 months. Night Sorrow scanned the map with his divine spirit and memorized everything on it. In the sovereign space, he directly flew in that direction. Below them, there were some unknown tall ancient trees. In the ancient trees, there were many sovereign-level ferocious beasts. Some of the ferocious beast kings even had the strength of a supreme being. Night Sorrow used the eye of the Mirage Dragon to observe and found that there were many supreme beings' spiritual herbs nearby. However, he did not go down to snatch them. For the people of the heavenly realm, if they wanted to further strengthen their foundation, they would have to absorb as many Earth Supreme Being items as possible. Therefore, in Night Sorrow's opinion, although Supreme Being items could be absorbed, they were not necessary. This sovereign space doesn't look that scary. After flying safely for 5 days, Master Wan Jian in the grotto heaven sighed. Yishang chuckled and said, "That's nothing. According to the map, we won't be able to reach the end of the sovereign space even if we fly for hundreds of years. The area is huge, what we see now is only the tip of the iceberg. Moreover, there are too many supreme beings targeting our heavenly realm, so there are too many ferocious beasts around. Therefore, we didn't encounter any danger after flying for 5 days." That's true. Master Wan Jian transmitted his voice. The others also laughed and chatted. Fellow Taoist, please wait. However, just as they were chatting, a shout suddenly came from not far away. It was the voice of a male cultivator, but it sounded very strange, like the roar of a wild beast. "What can I do for you?" Night Sorrow turned to look at the other party. It was a cultivator with a human body and a leopard head. His aura indicated that he should be an intermediate supreme being. "Oh. Half-step supreme being? You're not even a supreme being, why did you enter the sovereign space? Aren't you afraid of dying here?" Seeing that Night Sorrow was only a half-step supreme being, the leopard head supreme being immediately asked doubtfully. He did not immediately show any hostility. "I'm afraid, but I want to advance to the supreme being level here. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first." Night Sorrow replied and directly took his leave. The other party was most likely an enemy of the heavenly realm. He did not want to waste time talking, nor did he want to make a move for no reason and attract a large number of enemies. "Wait. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Are you feeling guilty? Are you from the heavenly realm?" Seeing that Night Sorrow wanted to leave, the leopard head supreme being's eyes suddenly lit up. Clan M. Chapter 3043. It had been a long time since someone from the heavenly realm appeared in the supreme space. When he saw Night Sorrow, he subconsciously thought that he was from another territory like him. It's been a long time since someone from the heavenly realm appeared. "I'm the same as you, waiting here. But I didn't find anything, so I prepared to go to other areas to look for opportunities." Yi Shang's expression didn't change as he replied. There were many dangers in the sovereign space. He felt that it was better to avoid trouble, so he explained patiently. "No. Your aura doesn't seem like you're from another territory. You're from the heavenly realm. Haha. Today, I, Hu Bao, am in luck. Surrender now." Hu Bao laughed loudly, took out a Chang flute, and blew it. "Not good. He's summoning others. Let us go out and kill him together." Hearing the flute, Master Wan Jian immediately shouted. "It's true that whatever you hate, you'll get it. But don't worry, I don't need you guys." Night Sorrow transmitted his voice and directly shot Hu Bao with the divine finger. It directly destroyed the Dantian of the intermediate supreme space. Divine finger? Isn't that a long-lost ability of the heavenly realm? You're really from the heavenly realm. And an important person. You can't escape, you can't escape. Hu Bao shouted angrily after his Dantian was destroyed. But by the time he said those words, Night Sorrow had already destroyed his deity ocean. "Brother Yi. Amazing. A middle supremacy was actually insta-killed by you." Seeing that Yi Shang had killed the leopard fox in one move, the myriad sword sex master in the heavenly abode praised. He originally thought that since they were all half-step supreme space, their strength should be about the same. But Night Sorrow's move just now made him give up on that idea. Not only did the gap between them not shrink, but it also widened. Xiao Tianxian asked curiously, "Night Sorrow, what was that move just now? Its terrifying attack power is unheard of. This absolute art is called God's Finger. It's a long-lost divine ability of the God world. You can learn it after you've advanced to the supremacy stage. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to keep it. After all, if I learn this kind of divine ability, I have to prevent it from being leaked." As Night Sorrow spoke, he sped up. The identity he used was not the 9 mystical lands mystique, but it was derived from the 9 mystical lands mystique, mysterious sky shadow. It was called the secret shadow of God. This movement technique was much stronger than the profound sky dragon roaming steps. His speed had almost reached the level of a half-step earthly sovereign. However, although Night Sorrow's speed was fast, he was still quickly discovered by another supreme martial artist. After this supreme being discovered Night Sorrow, he didn't immediately attack. Instead, he transmitted his voice to the other supreme beings nearby. He wanted those people to cooperate with him and form an encirclement, preparing to surround Yi Chang. Clearly, there were a lot of supreme beings in the vicinity. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to surround them. This isn't good. I'm afraid we'll encounter a lot of supreme beings this time. Everyone should have a chance to come out and fight. After flying for about 2 days, Night Sorrow suddenly came to a conclusion. When he flew over a wasteland, he realized that he had nowhere to go. He had been blocked by more than 10 supreme beings. Haha. If I'm not wrong, you're Night Sorrow, the one who shone in the battle of Providence in the realm of gods, right? After a total of 13 supreme beings blocked Night Sorrow, a middle-aged scholarly male cultivator asked with a cold smile. It's me. What are you going to do? Night Sorrow didn't seem to know the other party's purpose. In fact, he was using the power of his godly soul to check if there were other supreme beings around. He didn't expect to be discovered so quickly. If he had known, he wouldn't have cared about the image crystal. Ha ha ha. If it's you, we've succeeded. Your bounty is a half-step earthly sovereign divine weapon. And a large amount of earthly sovereign rules and essence. A greedy look appeared on the scholarly man's face. Since you know that my bounty is high, why don't you think about whether you have the ability to take it? Night Sorrow looked at him coldly. This scholarly man was an upper supreme being, and the other supreme beings present were 5 intermediate supreme beings and 7 lower supreme beings. With such strength, Night Sorrow could deal with him if he used all his means. You're just a half-step supreme being, what's so difficult to deal with? Brothers, attack me. After we get the reward, we'll split it equally. The scholarly-looking cultivator roared and attacked together with the others. At this time, Night Sorrow transmitted to everyone, there must be a large number of supreme beings from other territories around. Everyone, attack together and strive to win. After saying that, he released all the people from Myriad Sword Sect. At this time, there were a total of 11 of them, including Jing Yun. 11 against 13, they wouldn't lose in terms of numbers. Apart from Jing Yun, who was an upper supreme being, everyone else was a half-step supreme being. Although they were half-step supreme beings, 3 or 4 of them could cross realms and fight supreme beings. Although the others were slightly weaker than supreme beings, with the 3 of them working together, defeating an ordinary supreme being was not a problem at all. In this way, the pressure left for Night Sorrow was much less. Originally, there were 13 supreme beings, all ready to attack him, but now, there were only 5 supreme beings left, including the scholarly man. To ordinary cultivators, facing 5 supreme beings alone with a half-step supreme being was a nightmare for them. The scholarly man and the others also thought so. However, they soon realized that their way of thinking was completely wrong. Night Sorrow's strength was far stronger than they imagined. His true strength was close to half-step supreme being. Coupled with the golden heavenly halberd, he was simply unstoppable. In the process of the battle, the scholarly man and the others had already transmitted to the other supreme beings nearby. They knew that they couldn't take down Night Sorrow and the others at all. Therefore, as the battle progressed, Night Sorrow and the others found that although they were constantly killing supreme beings, the enemies were obviously increasing. Brother Yi, we can't go on like this. Although our strength is enough, we can't handle so many people. If this continues, the local supreme beings can't go more than 100. In the process of the battle, Murong Zhenlu said with some worry. That's true. The enemy supreme beings are like ants, more and more. We can't continue to waste time. Night Sorrow, who had already killed more than 10 supreme beings, saw that the number of enemies had increased to more than 20. He was ready to completely explode. He immediately used the Treastrimsa battle's secret technique and raised his aura to the strongest. And summoned Little Seven. He ordered, Little Seven, explode your ability and absorb all these people. As for the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, after the Battle of Providence ended, it had absorbed a large amount of Earth's supreme being's laws and essence and was in a deep sleep. It should be about to advance from middle supreme being to upper supreme being. Night Sorrow didn't disturb it. Clan M. Chapter 3044. Let me try. I don't know why, but I can feel a strong suppression in this sovereign space. I'm afraid I can't fully unleash the power of an earthly sovereign. After Little Seven was summoned, he immediately felt that something was wrong. After giving it a try, he realized that this was indeed the case. At most, he could only exert the power of a half-step earthly sovereign. It seems that Senior Longevity was defeated not only because he was poisoned or besieged, but also because of the suppression of the sovereign space. After hearing Little Seven's words, Night Sorrow immediately thought of the fall of Supreme Longevity. The suppression of the sovereign space was definitely a nightmare for Supreme Longevity. However, after Night Sorrow understood this, he immediately calmed down. With the suppression of the sovereign space, the earthly sovereigns from other territories wouldn't dare to appear. After all, those peerless experts treasured their own feathers. He didn't want to repeat the same mistake as Supreme Longevity. This way, Night Sorrow and the other earthly sovereigns in the realm of gods would have a much better living environment in the sovereign space. After all, without the existence of an earthly sovereign, Night Sorrow would soon have no natural enemies. Brother Yi, there are more and more enemies, and many earthly sovereigns from other territories are rushing over. What should we do? Murong Guides, who was in the middle of the battle, saw Night Sorrow's eyes and knew that he was thinking about something. However, the current development of the battle was extremely disadvantageous for the people in the realm of gods. If the battle continued, they wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. Injuries and even death were inevitable. It's okay, I haven't unleashed my full power yet. Night Sorrow replied to Murong Guides. Then, he transmitted his voice to Little Seven, since you can't unleash your full power, let's work together. I'll defeat one, and you'll absorb one. Okay. That's easier. Little Seven replied excitedly after hearing Night Sorrow's words. You guys have bullied the realm of gods for long enough. From today onwards, this situation will completely change. Night Sorrow, who was holding the golden heavenly halberd, placed the small tower on his shoulder and completely activated the flames of the Phoenix battle armor. The Phoenix battle armor on his body had actually been damaged many times. However, the magical thing about it was that every time it was destroyed, it would successfully be reborn. Its strength now reached the level of a sovereign. Haha. Ignorant Junior. You think that you can shine in the fight for sovereign rank's destiny? You think you can wreak havoc in the sovereign space? If you focus on cultivating for a few eras, you might be able to. But Yu's wrongs came too early. Everyone, attack together. Today, our priority is to kill this little bastard who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Zhu Xian's sovereign space was surrounded the 9 sovereigns SSSSS spaces his sovereigns. Sovereigns at his command, est have A's sovereign heavens S sovereignty, TTST, S origin sovereigns AAA's his S. After he spoke, a few sovereigns gave up on dealing with the others and surrounded Night Sorrow. In an instant, the number of sovereigns surrounding him had increased to 7. Little bastard, you dare to kill Xian Qingyu of the 9's origin sovereign? Let's see how you'll die today. Supreme Zhu Xian, who was attacking Yi Shang with the other 6-9 Heaven Supremes, clenched his teeth and roared. He then executed an ultimate move at Yi Shang. Heavenly Heaven Slash. The half-step earthly sovereign Zhu Xian's attack was extremely powerful. He looked like he was going to fight with his life on the line. Amazing. How can we still attack? When Zhu Xian attacked, the other 6 sovereigns even forgot to attack. In their opinion, this attack had reached the limit of a sovereign's. And Night Sorrow was a half-earth sovereign. Everyone felt that Night Sorrow would definitely be killed by this attack. Night Sorrow, be careful. This attack isn't simple. Little Seven, who was on Night Sorrow's shoulder, also rose. It also realized the power of this attack. Don't worry, if it was in the past, I don't think it would be easy for you to take this attack. But now, I've already learned the 9's origin sovereign's divine ability. This attack of his is derived from the origin sovereign's divine ability. I can easily break it. Night Sorrow, who had activated the Clam Dragon's Eye, could see that Zhu Xian's attack was derived from the Nine's origin sovereign's divine ability, Mysterious Sky's Secret Shadow. As the true wielder of the Mysterious Sky's Secret Shadow, he naturally had an innate advantage against Zhu Xian's Heavenly Heaven Slash. You'll follow in Xian Qingyu's footsteps soon. Facing the Heavenly Heaven Slash, Night Sorrow roared and attacked with the God's Spear. This move was developed from the fusion of the God's Finger and the Mysterious Sky's Secret Shadow. In fact, the Eternal Sovereign's divine ability all came from the Myriad Tao divine ability. However, Night Sorrow had not noticed this before. Now, the Black Heaven True Self Slash's ultimate technique made him realize this. God Spear? Why does this move have the shadow of the Mysterious Sky's Secret Shadow? Seeing Night Sorrow unleash the God Spear, Supreme Zhu Xian's pupils immediately constricted. However, this thought only flashed across his mind and he did not say it out loud. Night Sorrow, who had successfully dodged the Heavenly Heaven Slash, pierced his dantian with a spear. Although the power of this spear that Night Sorrow had fused with was inferior to the God's Finger, its destructive power was similarly astonishing. It directly pierced through Supreme Zhu Xian's Feng Yu robe and body. Impossible, how is this possible? Supreme Zhu Xian did not expect that Night Sorrow had already grasped the core divine ability of the Nine's origin sovereign. Having his dantian pierced through in one strike, his face was filled with disbelief. Nothing is impossible. If I can kill Xian Qingyu, I have the ability to kill you. Night Sorrow did not wish for Supreme Zhu Xian to reveal the secret. Without giving him a chance to continue speaking, he directly crushed his divine soul. Supreme Zhu Xian, who came from the four great holy lands, was completely killed by Night Sorrow in a single exchange. This time, the rest of the supreme martial artists were completely shocked. They instantly understood that a ruthless person had appeared in the realm of the gods. And his current cultivation level was only half a step away from being a supreme. They did not dare to believe that when Night Sorrow grew up and became a true supreme, what kind of combat power would he have? This Night Sorrow is not easy to deal with. Summon the top supreme martial artists. After being stunned for a moment, the 6 supreme martial artists who were besieging Night Sorrow began to communicate with each other through telepathy. Then, they did not dare to be careless and attacked Night Sorrow together. They wanted to win with numbers. Even Supreme Zhu Xian was killed in one strike. None of you are even half a step away from being an earthly sovereign. You still want to defeat me? After the small pagoda sucked Supreme Zhu Xian in, Night Sorrow and the other 6 supreme martial artists began to fight. Although the other party had the advantage in numbers, he was not afraid. However, the problem now was that they could not continue to fight because the supreme martial artists from other territories were still rushing over. Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website, M. Chapter 3045. However, what surprised Night Sorrow was that the other people in the heavenly realm were much stronger than he had imagined. Myriad Sword Sect and Shao Tianxian, who had been healed by Yan Hengshi, were not weaker than the other supreme martial artists. They were even more powerful than before. Furthermore, Myriad Sword Sect even killed an intermediate supreme martial artist one-on-one. Although Shao Tianxian did not kill a supreme martial artist one-on-one, he was able to disintegrate one supreme martial artist. He had to use a secret technique to barely escape. The other sovereigns were not as strong as the 2 of them, but everyone, including Jing Yun, was very valiant. Their combat power had increased by a lot. Especially Wu Lingfei, who was already vaguely catching up with Myriad Sword Sect and Shao Tianxian. Facing a supreme martial artist alone, she was able to force him to retreat. Very good. Everyone's collective improvement is a rare good thing for the heavenly realm. While fighting, Night Sorrow was also paying attention to the other people in the heavenly realm, afraid that someone would be in danger. At first glance, he realized that he was worrying too much. After the baptism of the battle for Providence, the people in the heavenly realm had already grown into independent experts. If the original team participated in the battle for Providence, the heavenly realm would definitely be able to easily win the championship. Bastard, you dare to be distracted when fighting 1 against 6. Now, Knight Sorrow was actually paying attention to the other people's battles in the battle. The few supreme martial artists who were fighting with him were completely enraged. One by one, they used their ultimate skills to fight with their lives. Knight Sorrow, be careful. Although the supreme martial artists were not as strong as Supreme Zhu Xian individually, the 6 of them were fighting with their lives on the line, so the threat was obviously greater than Supreme Zhu Xian. Little 7 immediately reminded him. No worries. Although there are 6 of them, they are not a whole. Just defeat them one by one. But time is tight, we can't waste too much time with them. Attack, it must be a fatal blow. After replying to Little 7, Yishan withdrew his consciousness. Holding the golden heavenly halberd, he used God's shadow to dodge the attacks. At the same time, he unleashed a divine essence trapping formation and divine finger at one of the primes. He cleanly shattered his dantian. God's finger? What he used seems to be the long-lost God's finger. Could he be the reincarnation of supreme longevity? Seeing Knight Sorrow shattering a supreme martial artist's dantian from a distance, some of the supreme martial artists present. The divine ability of the realm of the gods had disappeared for many years. Now that it had appeared once again, they began to doubt it. Whether he is reincarnated or not, quickly. He can use divine abilities, but we can't. How are we going to fight him? After Yishang displayed the long-lost divine ability of the god realm, many supremes began to fear him. Their god. It was rumored that the divine finger was the strongest attack of the eternal supreme. No one could withstand it. No one wanted Knight Sorrow to open a hole in their body. God, another. After Yishang heavily injured the supreme being in front of him, Little 7 let out a human-like laugh and put him into the small pagoda. He turned it into rules and essence. Then, when they fought Knight Sorrow again, the remaining supreme martial artists changed their tactics. They no longer fought with their lives on the line. Instead, they fought with their lives on the line. However, Knight Sorrow's combat power was almost at the level of a half-step earthly supreme. Even if they focused on defense, it would be difficult for them to resist him. It didn't take long for Knight Sorrow to kill another 2 paragons. Now, there were only 3 paragons left in front of Knight Sorrow. The 3 of them exchanged glances. How could they possibly have the courage to continue fighting? The supreme martial artists who were fighting with the rest of the god world didn't notice Knight Sorrow's situation at first. By the time they realized it, it was already too late. In the blink of an eye, Knight Sorrow had killed 3 supreme martial artists. He killed every time he attacked. He was like a god of death. At this point, the supreme martial artists present were scared out of their wits. They all used their secret techniques to escape. Some of the supreme martial artists who had rushed over saw so many supreme martial artists running away, and they also ran away in fear. No one dared to continue fighting in the god world. Haha. Brother Yi, you are really brave. The power of the divine finger just now is amazing. The myriad sword sect laughed loudly. After Knight Sorrow's power, the battle became like this. At the same time, he was quite interested in the divine finger. The divine finger is a good thing. But a man's wealth is his own ruin. You should wait until you become a supreme martial artist and can take charge in the supreme space before you learn it. Knight Sorrow could naturally see through the myriad sword sect's thoughts and said with a smile. Haha. Okay, I will wait for a while more. The myriad sword sect also smiled. He was a little embarrassed that Knight Sorrow had seen through his thoughts. At this time, Yuan Fengshua laughed and said, Haha, it's okay. We are not in a hurry. If you are not strong enough to learn the divine finger, you will be targeted wherever you go. That's right. But if you encounter a dangerous situation, you have to fight with your lives on the line. I will teach you the divine finger in advance. This divine finger is very special and can only be taught one by one. But the advantage is that as long as you teach it, you will be able to learn it directly. Night Sorrow explained and continued, those weak supreme martial artists have escaped, but it doesn't mean that the others will not come. Let's go directly to the big and small grotto heavens. Okay. Let's enter your space grotto heaven again. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Wu Lingfei asked. Okay. My movement technique should be faster. After saying that, Night Sorrow kept everyone in the space grotto heaven and continued to rush to the big and small grotto heavens. Along the way, they were summoned 3 times, and each time, it was an earth-shattering battle. However, under Night Sorrow's continuous attacks, although the people of the heavenly realm were seriously exhausted and everyone, including Night Sorrow, was injured, no one died. Just like that, about 6 months later, they successfully arrived at the periphery of the big and small grotto heavens. Something's not right. There is obviously something going on inside. Just as they approached the periphery of the big and small grotto heavens, Night Sorrow felt that something was wrong and quickly stopped. Using the eye of the sea serpent, he saw that there were many formations set up around the big and small grotto heavens. And there were a few supreme martial artists hiding around. These supreme martial artists were all lower-level martial artists. Their strength was not very strong, but they were good at hiding. Obviously, they were hidden sentries. How can there be such a coincidence? We were just about to save people when we saw people coming to the big and small grotto heavens to look for opportunities. Master Wan Jian said unhappily. At this time, he was still in Night Sorrow's space grotto heaven, just like the others. There must be a rare treasure in the big and small grotto heavens that attracted some people here. I think this is our chance to become supreme martial artists. At this time, Night Sorrow recalled what Supreme Longevity said and said slowly. Genius remembered this site's address in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3046. It's a good thing that a treasure has appeared in the big and small grotto heavens. We can't be absent. Thousand Sword Master said excitedly when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Even in the grotto heaven, he could not suppress his desire to fight. He realized that after Night Sorrow's appearance, the strength of the people around him had increased by more than 1 level. It's a good thing. But looking at the situation in front of us, it might be a great danger. There must be many experts inside. Night Sorrow used the eye of the sea serpent to observe the formation in front of them for a long time. He was sure that the person who had set up the formation was at least a half-step earthly sovereign. Of course we're going in. Do we barge in or think of some other way? Thousand Sword Master asked. Xiao Tianxian and the rest did not say anything, but they were also paying attention. Obviously, they were looking forward to becoming earthly sovereigns. Let's kill the few hidden sentries in front of us first, then let the restriction-breaking hammer try to break the formation without anyone noticing. Then we'll have enough time to hide in the dark. After communicating with the restriction-breaking hammer, Night Sorrow said. Although the formation in front of them was very mysterious, the restriction-breaking hammer had the ability to break it. Then, he added, of course. If we can capture these earthly sovereigns alive, that would be even better. We can ask who's in there, and when the people inside ask about it, we'll be able to respond easily. It won't be easy. After all, they are earthly sovereigns. It's already very difficult to kill them without anyone noticing, let alone capture them alive. Xiao Tianxian said with a frown when he heard the plan. There are a total of 6 of them, and they're hiding in different places. It's not easy to kill them without anyone noticing. How about this, I'll teach you the divine finger. When the time comes, we'll find the right time to kill them with a single blow. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow felt that this was the best choice for now. If it were not for the current situation, he would not have taught them the divine finger so early. So suddenly? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone in the realm of God hesitated. After all, this was not going according to plan. From the looks of it, this is the safest way. Yi Shang added. Then, he led the people of the god realm away and found a safe place. Before imparting the god's finger to everyone, Night Sorrow frowned and said, "Actually, imparting the god's finger to everyone is not something difficult. However, we must ensure that the divine abilities of the divine realm are not learned by outsiders. Let's make an oath right now. He would never impart the secret technique to anyone. After all, things like divine abilities could only be passed down from one person to another. You can't learn it through soul-searching techniques." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Xiao Tianxian looked at the others and said. Then, he took the initiative to swear a deadly oath. This meant that even if he died, he would not impart this ability to anyone else. After Xiao Tianxian finished his oath, the others followed suit and made their oaths. After they finished their vows, Night Sorrow began to teach them the divine arts one by one. In less than 20 breaths of time, he finished teaching them. Time is of the essence. Everyone, quickly comprehend it. However, there's no need to test it out to avoid alerting the enemy. After all, the distance is not far. After imparting the divine abilities, Night Sorrow allowed everyone to comprehend it for a while before keeping them back into the space cave. With the help of the concealment rune, Night Sorrow found a suitable location and divided everyone into 5 groups. He placed them near the 5 supreme beings while he faced one of them alone. Everyone, get ready. I will count down from 1. Everyone, use your god's finger to kill the enemy. One of you will attack the Dantian while the other one will attack the deity ocean. After placing everyone down, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. We are all ready. Master Wan Jian said excitedly. The others were the same. After all, none of them had used their divine abilities before. All right. Then I shall begin. 3, 2, 1. Asterisk boom. 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 Asterisk. When Yishang counted to 1, everyone attacked the supreme martial artists who were not far away from them from 6 different directions. With the help of the god's finger, the 6 supreme beings were all killed without making a sound. Just in case, Night Sorrow did not leave any of them alive. Restriction breaking hammer, it's up to you now. After keeping the teleportation stones and other items of the 6 supreme beings, Night Sorrow asked Little Seven to absorb them all. Then, he summoned the restriction breaking hammer. This kind of formation may be very mysterious to you. But to us, it's nothing at all. We can break it with a wave of our hand. After the male hammer was summoned, it immediately cooperated with the female hammer and successfully broke a hole in the formation. At this time, Wu Lingfei asked, "Are you sure this won't alert the people inside?" Absolutely not. Unless there is a heavenly supreme inside. The female hammer, who recognized Wu Lingfei as its master, replied. That's good. Let's go in. After getting a positive answer, Wu Lingfei looked at everyone and said. No hurry. We can set up some more formations on top of this formation. This way, we can know in advance if anyone comes. Yishang said as he casually set up some array formations nearby. Among them, there was an illusion formation, a trap formation, and a concealment formation. In the concealment formation, there were a few image stones. Shall we go in together or enter your space grotto heaven again? When everyone was about to enter the grotto heavens, Xiao Tianxian looked at Night Sorrow again. It will be safer for everyone to hide in my space grotto heaven. However, I think that since we are representing the heavenly realm, we should go in together. After all, the heavenly realm does not belong to me alone. Night Sorrow smiled and said to everyone. After teaching them the god's finger, he had a deeper level of confidence in everyone's strength. All right. Being taken care of by you all the time has lowered our vigilance and we have become dependent on you. This is not good. Jin Xian said with a smile as he walked into the grotto heavens. However, after walking for a short distance, he frowned and said, "What a strong smell of blood." From the position of the cave, there should have been a battle. Indeed. Everyone, be careful. Using the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow looked into the distance and found that there were many torn corpses in the dark cave. The corpses of these cultivators were all in a horrible state. Night Sorrow, can you see anything? As everyone walked into the cave, the smell of blood became stronger and stronger. Murongji pointed the way and asked. This cave is not simple. If I'm not wrong, this is a land of death. There is a terrifying existence here. Before Night Sorrow could say anything, Xiongji spoke first. The seal-breaking bronze hammers had an extraordinary understanding of space. With a simple look, they were sure that there was no way out. There was no way out. Moreover, there were torn corpses all around. This was different from what they had imagined before they came in. Genius memorized the address in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3047. Seal-breaking hammer, work together and try to break the seal. Everyone else, be on guard. After the seal-breaking hammer made its judgment, Night Sorrow immediately reminded everyone to be on guard. The smell of blood here was too strong. Obviously, the corpses nearby had been killed not long ago. It was very likely that there was a horrifying existence in this sealed cave. However, even when Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe, he did not find anything. When Night Sorrow did not find anything, Jingyun shouted, "Not good. I feel that something is spying on us. Jingyun is the weakest. The thing hiding in the dark might want to attack her. Everyone, get ready to attack." Thinking of the miserable corpses around him, Night Sorrow's heart clenched as he stood beside Jingyun. Moreover, the others in the realm of the gods also unconsciously moved closer. In an instant, the temperature in the dark cave dropped a lot. Even though everyone was a dominator, they could still feel the coldness in their bones. There's a murderous aura. It's very strong. In the tense atmosphere, Night Sorrow suddenly transmitted his voice to everyone. This time, although the sea serpent's eye did not see anything, he could already feel the terrifying murderous aura. It's coming. I can feel it. It's coming. As soon as Night Sorrow finished speaking, Jingyun shouted. Then, she condensed her divine origin energy and used the divine finger in a direction. As her divine finger lit up the distance, everyone saw a headless armored corpse slowly crawling out of the soil. As for Xiang Yu's attack, it might have been due to panic, but it did not hit its target. This armored corpse should have the strength of an earthly sovereign when it was alive. Now, it should be a half-step earthly sovereign. However, it is stronger than an ordinary half-step earthly sovereign. After all, it had comprehended the rules of an earthly sovereign when it was alive. Everyone, be careful. Little Seven glanced at the armored corpse in front of them and immediately reminded everyone. If it's alone, there's nothing to be afraid of. However, if the number keeps increasing, it will be difficult to deal with. After using the sea serpent's eye to observe the headless armored corpse, Night Sorrow said coldly. The armored corpse's aura was strong and full of murderous aura. However, the giant axe in its hand was already blunt. Who cares how many there are? Let's fight. The 10,000 sword sect roared and took the lead to charge forward. In everyone's opinion, Jing Yun's cultivation time was too short after all, so she was still a little weak. Roar! Just as Master 10,000 Sword swung his sword at the armored zombie. Out of nowhere, the headless armored zombie let out a roar. Then, he swung his axe fiercely at the 10,000 Sword sect. The precepts contained within this swing were clearly stronger than the myriad sword sect's attack. With a boom, the master of the 10,000 swords was sent flying. If it wasn't for his sword's quality, it would have been broken. This thing is quite capable, everyone be careful. After being sent flying by a single blow, Master Wan Jian felt that his breathing was a little labored, so he immediately reminded everyone. Just as he spoke, the armored zombie charged at him ferociously. This time, the armored zombie didn't swing the giant axe in his hand. Instead, he stretched out his hands in an attempt to tear the myriad sword sect to shreds. Seeing this scene, Night Sorrow and the others could no longer stand still. Godly Spear. After condensing his elemental energy, Ishan immediately shot out the Godly Spear. This Godly Spear, with the help of Godly Shadow, was extremely fast and wasn't inferior to the Godly Finger. As soon as he finished speaking, Night Sorrow's attack had already landed on the armored zombie's body. The clanging sound of metal colliding rang out in the enclosed space. The armored zombie, which was about to tear the master of the 10,000 swords sect to shreds, was blasted a few hundred feet away. A few hundred feet wasn't a short distance, but for a cultivator at Night Sorrow's level, it wasn't far at all. When he bombarded the armored zombie's body, he felt like he was hitting a solid piece of iron. This armored zombie's body is very strong, everyone be careful. After helping the master of the 10,000 swords sect up, Night Sorrow reminded everyone. The attack just now made him realize that the armored zombie's body was obviously stronger than an ordinary half-step earthly sovereign. Thank you. I was a little careless just now. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I would have been torn to shreds. After the master of the 10,000 swords sect got up, he said with lingering fear. During the exchange just now, cold sweat flowed down his back. If it weren't for Night Sorrow's timely intervention, his body would have been torn to shreds in a moment of carelessness. The armored zombie's strength was obviously stronger than what the master of the 10,000 swords sect had imagined. Let's not talk about this for now, let's continue to fight. Although the armored zombie is strong, it shouldn't be invulnerable. After helping the master of the 10,000 swords sect up, Night Sorrow once again condensed his divine origin energy and attacked the armored zombie with the Godly Finger. When Night Sorrow attacked, the rest of the people in the realm of the gods also attacked with the Godly Finger. Although the armored zombie's body was strong, its speed wasn't fast. Although it knew how to dodge, it didn't manage to avoid these attacks. However, only Night Sorrow's attack managed to penetrate its armor. The others' attacks didn't have much effect. This thing's defense is too terrifying. Jin Xian's brows furrowed in shock when he saw that the armored zombie hadn't suffered much damage despite being bombarded by a barrage of attacks. After all, the Godly Finger's attack power was very sharp. It's okay. Being able to penetrate its defense proves that it isn't invulnerable. Little 7, if it loses its ability to resist, can you swallow it? This thing was an earthly sovereign when it was alive. If you swallow it, you should be able to gain a lot of benefits, right? Night Sorrow asked Little Tower as he cooperated with the others to attack the armored zombie. Little 7 replied with certainty, in this situation, I definitely can't. But if it loses its ability to resist, then we will definitely gain a lot. In addition to the previous accumulation, I can help one of you become an earthly sovereign in a short period of time. Good. Very good. Night Sorrow was shocked when he heard Little 7's reply. Whether it was him or the others, their strength would increase greatly when they became earthly sovereigns. This was definitely a great thing for the Grotto Heavens. However, the battle in front of them was obviously more difficult than they had imagined. Although everyone attacked together, they quickly suppressed the armored zombie. Just as the armored zombie was about to lose its ability to fight, it suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. After the roar, dozens of specters with the strength of earthly sovereigns immediately appeared in the cave. Every single one of these soul-like spirits was extremely ferocious. Although they were specters, they still had the ability to fight. After they appeared, they cooperated with the armored zombie to launch a terrifying soul attack on the people in the realm of the gods. The strength of the soul attack made Night Sorrow feel that it was a little difficult to deal with. Chapter 3048. Such a terrifying divine soul attack is hard to deal with. What should we do? Seeing so many divine souls unleashing such a powerful divine soul attack, Murong Zhenlu anxiously shouted. His shouts filled the cave. Murong Zhenlu's shouts had the intention of disrupting the morale of the army. Xiao Tianxian shouted in dissatisfaction, "What are you shouting for? This is a sealed space. we are fighting with our backs against the wall. There is no way out. If you want to live, fight with your life. But, Murongjenlu wanted to say something, but he was quickly entangled by two divine souls. Under their attacks, Murongjenlu quickly lost the ability to resist. Night sorrow. Murongjenlu seems to be unable to resist. Night sorrow, who was in the middle of the battle, had consumed a lot of his divine soul. He had no time to look around, so he did not notice the problem with Murongjenlu. It was little Seven who reminded him. Bastard. Turning around to look at Murongjenlu, Night Sorrow's eyes immediately changed. At this moment, he had been completely defeated, and his divine soul was being torn apart. Night Sorrow did not hesitate at all. He directly used Soft Dragon Roar to push back the two divine souls that were fighting Murongjenlu. Then, he kept them in his space grotto heaven. He asked, Jinlu, how are you? Luckily you acted in time, or else I would have died. Murongjenlu's face revealed a bitter smile. After surviving a disaster, his mood was a bit uneasy. But at this moment, he still reminded, don't worry about me, there are still others. These damn things are too hard to deal with. Don't worry. I will think of a way. Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Murongjenlu, then continued to fight with the divine souls. Although everyone tried their best to resist, they were still at a disadvantage. The headless armored corpse, which had been injured earlier, was also gradually recovering. When it completely returned to the battlefield, everyone in the heavenly realm was completely suppressed. This won't do. If this goes on, we will all die here. Everyone, take out whatever secret treasures you have. Even if we self-destruct, it is better than being killed ourselves. Thousand Swords Master shouted. We know that too. But what he could take out, he had taken out almost all of them. After all, even the Restriction Breaker Hammer and Little Seven have joined the battle. Jin Xian replied helplessly. The current situation was simply too passive. A trace of despair gradually rose in everyone's hearts. Right at this critical moment, Night Sorrow suddenly shouted, Primal Chaos. Come out quickly. Suck all these souls into your Primal Chaos space. We'll deal with them in the Primal Chaos space. Good. Watch me. When the chaotic heavenly crystal beast received Night Sorrow's order, it immediately came out of the spatial paradise. He had just achieved the upper level 9 heaven supreme realm not long ago. His aura was extremely strong. After he appeared, he completely exploded. Together with Night Sorrow, they fought against the headless armored corpse and sucked everyone into the chaotic space. Then, he shouted, Night Sorrow. I'll hold off this armored zombie. You go in and deal with those Supreme Being spirits. Good. You just have to hold it back. Night Sorrow said and also entered the Primal Chaos space. In the Primal Chaos space, he could be considered half a master, and he was completely familiar with it. It was completely different when he fought against those Supreme Being spirits. After the Supreme Being spirits were suppressed, Night Sorrow completely exploded and quickly finished off a few of them. At this time, he shouted, Everyone, now is the best opportunity. If we delay any longer, the Primal Chaos space will not be able to suppress them. Okay. The others made a long story short and immediately attacked. With everyone's cooperation, these originally extremely terrifying Supreme Being spirits were destroyed one by one. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast has really done a meritorious deed this time. Without it, we might have all died this time. After finishing off these Supreme Being spirits, Xiao Tianxian said with lingering fear. Boom! Right at this moment, they who were within the chaotic space immediately sensed a strand of extremely powerful collision force. Not good. The Primal Chaos space can't resist the armored zombie. Let's go help immediately. Night Sorrow, who had also relaxed a little, realized this problem and immediately shouted. Okay. Let's kill that headless armored zombie together. Myriad Sword Sect also said. Then, everyone in the Heavenly Realm territory came out of the Primal Chaos space. As soon as they returned to the cave, they saw the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's huge body that had been knocked down. Although its body was incomparably huge, its combat strength was much weaker than the armored zombies. If it wasn't for Night Sorrow immediately striking the armored zombie with the divine finger as soon as he appeared, the armored zombie would have been killed. Primal Chaos. You've done well this time. Jing Yun, give all the earthly supreme rules and essence to the primal chaos. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast was seriously injured, so Night Sorrow immediately asked Jing Yun to take out the champion's reward that had not been absorbed and give it to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. I'm fine, I just need to rest for a while. After the chaotic heavenly crystal beast collected the resources, it returned to Night Sorrow's grotto heaven to recover. At this time, it had already contacted Night Sorrow's battle pet contract and was considered friends. As for Yi Shang and the others, they no longer called him it. Okay. You rest in peace. I will avenge you for being injured. Night Sorrow transmitted his voice and once again held the golden heavenly halberd in his hand. The armored zombie's body was very strong, and its combat strength was astonishing. Among the people present, only he could fight against it. Then, Night Sorrow restrained the armored zombie while the others bombarded it from a distance. After fighting for about 6 hours, they finally defeated the armored zombie completely. Little Seven, quickly suck it into the tower. When the armored zombie lost its combat strength, Night Sorrow immediately reminded Little Seven. Don't worry. I've long been ready. Hearing this, Little Seven instantly sucked the armored zombie into the tower. Although it was only on the 7th level of the Eternal Divine Tower, its functions were still very powerful. After sucking the armored zombie in, it quickly converted it into rules and energy. After doing all this, Little Seven said, at present, except for Night Sorrow, any one of you can quickly advance to the supreme stage if you enter the tower to cultivate. Who will go first? How long will it take to advance to the supreme stage? After Little Seven finished speaking, Night Sorrow asked. If he wanted to advance to the supreme stage, he needed more rules and essence than the others. Little Seven in front of him couldn't help him much. It depends on comprehension. If it's not bad, a few years will be enough. Little Seven thought for a moment and replied. Then, everyone in the Heavenly Realm territory immediately discussed who should go first. Originally, everyone recommended the Myriad Sword sect because he was more brave and would be the first to face any danger. If he could advance to the supreme stage, it would be a very good improvement for the entire team. However, Genius remembered this site's address in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website, you're tuning in to the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.